practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden thoughts.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I'm your host, Adam Dunn.
I'm your host, your co-host, Dave.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Whoa.
Dave was getting all jumpy here.
It was like
almost jumped rank there.
A
diet coup.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And as always, the Adam Dunn Show is brought to you by Illuminar Lighting and
Seeds Here Now. And Focus V Carta.
There you go, Sam.
You got to go to Focus V Products. Enter Dunn Deal, 10% off your laser edition.
Look at you go.
Man.
Look at him go. All right. And today we have a awesome show that I'm really excited about. We have Indian Landrace Exchange. I think it's Irrazin. I won't find out exactly how to pronounce his name, but we got him coming in at the top of the hour, and we also have Todd Harrison from CB1 Capital, who is
You'll like Todd. He's a good guy.
And I was surprised. We had people who were like pumped. They were like, "Yeah. Todd's a genius." So I was like, "Nice." I like.
So do you know his backstory? He was the co-host with that Mad Money guy, Kramer, who used to bang everything.
Yeah. The guy
So
when he hit all the fucking. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, he's his partner for 20 years. Todd has amazing stories of like he was in the locker room when the Lakers won the championship, like when everyone's putting on the goggles and everything, when the champagne's and like he's standing next to the owner of the team, just
Nice.
Doodly doo. That's what happens when you're in the equities market and you're moving hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, can you imagine how many billions changed hands every day based on what the two of them said on that show when Kramer hit his buy button, buy. Right. It was like, that was the Reddit of the day, right? I mean, that's where you got your information and everybody ran to their trading platform and bought or sold or whatever. But he's a good guy.
Before everybody had
Really
bots.
appreciate
It's before everybody had bots that just do it all for you. There's no banging.
Yeah.
You bang nothing. Well, something.
No, I never understood. That's how I always felt like the little guy is just can't play right, because if you don't have that computer system that does those micro trades every time the market swings one direction or the other, then you're out. You lost your shirt.
Definitely.
You're done.
Definitely. And I don't know if it's up. Is it live yet? Is our news? We don't even know. Well, we have a new news page coming out soon, so I don't know if it's 100% live. But on Adam Dunn Show info, I guess it would be at the AdamDunnShow.com site, right? I guess it's all there. Is there a news button? Did you look? Did you figure this out yet? Oh, look at Shitty Jamie. He's in a real mood today.
Shitty Jamie.
He's not only shitty, he's kind of pissed off. He was grumpy. Was it grumpy today? What was it?
Wow.
No, look at it. What do you mean? No, he just fucked it up.
We have no bagel. We didn't get any bagels today. That's probably.
No, that's
the problem. There it is.
I started my
I have an excuse. I have an excuse why I didn't meet up for bagels today.
Do you? Oh no! Oh, show us.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I'm clicking on a
Look
new
at
thing.
that.
Wow! You got a
Adam
Smurf
Dunn.
Fauci, ouchie.
Did you give you a Smurf Band-Aid or what is that?
Okay, let me.
No, it's like puppies and kittens, I think.
Puppies and kittens. All right, nice. The
Open
Fauci
links.
ouchie.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one.
The Fauci
The
ouchie.
Fauci
See, I
ouchie
cringed the first
number
time I heard
one.
that. I didn't like that at all.
I like that. That's a
I
good
don't
one. You
like
might as well blame it on him. Blame it all on him.
Okay. All right.
I have to tell you right now, I don't remember his name.
Just call it a Fauci, and that would be it, right? It would be. But
That's exactly what I said. It's a Fauci.
Yeah.
But if
I
you
got it
are,
right here.
if you,
Yeah.
whenever you schedule your appointment, if you're here in Colorado, I
Look at that,
highly recommend the Westminster King Supers.
So you see, we're just at the raw. Right now, it's all raw. We're raw dogging it. We're raw dogging it on the news. But soon, this page is going to look even better, tighter. Logos.
Even tighter?
It's going to say news. Because otherwise, none of the people who watch the show will understand.
Oh, that'd be amazing if it like automatically turned your browser to full loudness and then it just did the sample
nails you every time. Yeah.
Wait, did you hear what that Jimmy Kimmel did that?
That would be the dread function right there. Yeah, that's what
man.
we call that.
Yeah, the dread.
Did you hear that Jimmy Kimmel did that?
What?
On his show, he said, all right, everybody listen, put your Alexas into whatever. I don't have an Alexa, so I didn't really know what he meant, but it was like listen mode. And so everybody at home put their Alexa into listen mode, and he goes, Alexa, volume 10, play. And he had it play a really loud song. And he said because he realized that if your Alexa is on 10 and playing this song, it can't hear you when you say, Alexa, stop, turn the volume down.
Nice.
It was the funniest thing in the world.
And everybody was all...
Did that to millions of people.
See? I like it. There you go. It's because he has a staff.
I think he's responsible for ordering a bunch of...
Bunch of what?
Well, you stopped for a coffee drink. Right?
Oh, he did the same thing. Whoa, I thought Adam was going to say something.
No.
He did the same thing where on his show, he said, Alexa, buy something. And everyone who was listening to the show, their Alexa went and bought something.
Yep.
You right?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's good. That's good.
That's why I don't have any of that in the house.
It's the dumbest idea ever.
But I heard your iPhone is always listening to you.
Duh.
Even if you don't have an
You just
Alexa.
heard this? You just heard this? You just figured
Well,
this
no,
out?
but I even turned it off. You know, I don't use the Siri function, so
Don't matter.
but it still listens.
You're Siri.
Of course.
Yep.
Are you Siri?
Are you Siri, bro?
Are you
I'm Siri?
Are you
Wow.
Siri, bro?
Is that like Kramer when he was movie phone?
Welcome to AOL Movie Phone.
Movie
Why
phone.
don't you just tell me what movie you want to watch?
Did you want to watch? Type in the first 3 letters of the movie you want. Did you say Star Wars? No. How was your week? Anything fun happen to you in your life?
We went down to Area 420. I hung out with Andre Grossman. So it was pretty awesome. Got to see him finally.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. And he got to see Area 420, and he was blown away, which was awesome. Exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
My evil plans were coming together. So it was one of those moments where you're like,
Nice.
it's all happening. Yeah, it's starting to happen. No, it's really cool. Went down there, saw the progress, and catching the fever. It's about to happen in the next few months. And saw Matt, cameraman, amazing cameraman. Matt was there. Gave him a pack of seeds.
Oh, he got his seeds. Look at that.
See that? We finally delivered on time. I was like, yes, he's here. So yeah, we hooked up with Matt. Actually, he filmed the Moffitt cannabis sort of meeting they had with all the cannabis producers there, and they kind of do like a monthly thing. So I was like, oh, it's looking like it's getting organized down there. He did the camera work. It was amazing as usual. So
Nice.
but we're planning for 420. 420 on 420 for 420 from 420 till 420.
420.
Did I mention 420? Yes, we're doing that.
420.
That show.
420.
And so we are prepping for that, which is awesome because now we have we got the spot, we've got the camera guy, and now we just got to run through all the little details.
Wait. Speaking of spot,
you're coming.
how's the construction of my little Robin Quiver studio?
Oh, it's going off.
And in my little glass box.
You will have a glass box, don't you worry. And it will have many torture instruments designed inside of it that you will not know. It's like, imagine him in a box, what we could do to him in a box. I mean, it's just amazing.
Hey, Mark, can we play any of that guy? Can we post that guy's...
No.
Something that made me smile this week was I sent it to you guys. I'm sure people in the chat gang have watched it. It'll make you all smile.
We don't like fun around here.
Electro Boom.
Wow. This is...
Hey, Shitty JD.
I'll find it, and I'll
Look
post
up
it.
Electro Boom. This
It's good.
guy, if he's...
It's good because anybody who's a grower has had to wire their own shit up has been through this in some way, shape, or form. Like when I used to sell lamps back in, it was funny, in Holland, they used to sell you lights that were never wired, right? You had to wire them yourself. Like you could never, they always came straight from the factory, unwired. And it was like every day someone would come in, it doesn't work.
They're trying to set Amsterdam on fire. The same thing happened to me in the 90s. I had to wire a fucking bullshit.
Oh, that's a European. That's
All right.
that's a total Dutch thing. They're
I
like,
posted
oh,
the
you want our
link.
plug?
to that Twitter that made you very happy?
No, I had to
got
the
the link?
first.
I posted it.
Oh, you posted. Oh, there
Do you want me to put it in the background? Is that what you want me to do?
Is that what you're trying to do?
No, just stick it in the chat room and let
did.
them watch it
He
and
did.
laugh
It's
their
there.
asses
All right,
off.
it's there.
It's there,
there.
guys. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Well, hey,
you
what
know how
is
much
this?
pressure you're putting on Jamie?
I
Look
know.
at-
I hope that I don't have to do any much more of this show.
What is
Well,
that?
what? Tell me what herb this is that you dropped off.
Oh, I have herb for you from.
What is that? I don't
That's
know.
the forgotten.
Yeah, but what is this?
Oh!
That's
Yes.
the forgotten.
That is what it is.
He
As if
forgot.
They're forgotten.
He
Wait, you
actually
have herb
forgot.
for me?
Yeah, I got
What?
herb from T-Dog.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah, dog.
T-Dog came
Oh, well,
through.
don't let Adam know where it is.
I already smoked it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Oh, well, I mean, we picked through it. Of
Oh no,
course.
we've taken all the good shit.
Yeah, we took all the good stuff. We keeped all the buds.
We keefed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we keefed it, rolled it,
And,
beat on it. Yeah, then we
yeah.
rubbed it. We did a quick rub. We did a hand
You
rub.
just you did me a favor and you put everything in pre-rolls for me.
Exactly. With a little tobacco, just a little tobacco, just a little bit. The classic last one.
Hey Enzo, you can't hurt my feelings tonight, man. You can. You don't like when I talk. That's okay. I'm in too good a place right now, man. I hope everybody had a fantastic week.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
new Diamonds and Sauce. We just got a Bandcamp, Diamonds and Sauce, .bandcamp.com. We just released 2 new tunes, a down-tempo tune and a late-night banger. So go check that out. I also, this next week, I'm going to be starting my new podcast, Suburban House Radio. It's not really new. I've already done like 84 episodes plus. And I'm just like, I took a 4-year hiatus, and I'm starting it back up again because I'm releasing tunes, and I'm, getting
tunes?
get all into that.
Tunes, mate. Fucking
Tunes, mate.
Fucking tunes.
So yeah.
Dump that bass, mate.
Yes.
So I'll drop a link in the chat for everyone. And bah humbug.
Bah humbug. Wait,
what
you're
a-
like
What a promoter.
you missed that. Bah humbug. That was like 2 months ago, Mark. 3 months ago, man.
It's a constant thing
It's
for
a
me.
year. It's a yearly thing.
It's what I do. It's just me. You
Right?
can bah humbug all year long.
Okay, so
not
back
just
to your
Christmas
back to your Fauci ouchie, right? That's number 1, right? When's your
Yeah,
number,
that
when's-
was-
When's your number 2 scheduled, bro?
April.
420.
Yeah. No, April 2nd.
Cool.
Yeah.
So 4-2.
Yeah.
Close
4-2.
enough.
Well, yeah.
Whoa, you're in there.
Whoa. I did. But you want to know something?
Oh yeah,
when
can you
when
play
I'm
the
sitting
tune?
there,
Oh no, you can't play them because you can't even. Play.
these ones we probably could because it's just on Bandcamp.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Well, there you
But,
go.
yeah. Anyways.
Nobody wants.
No one wants to hear 'em.
T-Dog wants to hear it.
Let's hear that tune.
T-Dog wants it. Well, when we have
Yeah.
a dead space, we'll,
Yeah, when we have a dead space,
when
I'll
we're all
pop it
sitting
on.
here like, I don't know what to say anymore. There's nothing.
what
to
do we
say.
talk about?
Nothing
Yeah.
to talk about.
I did try to schedule it at 4:20 though. I thought that would have been really funny, but then I realized it was a Friday, and if I scheduled the
What?
appointment at 4:20 today,
It's on a
it
Friday.
would have. Today.
Oh
No,
I was like- I was like-
today? I had it this morning.
I was like,
I had it
420
today
is
at
not on a
1:15.
Friday this year. I was going to tell you, you were wrong.
No.
You are wrong.
No.
I've checked into this. I've checked into this shit. It's one thing I know.
Yeah. No, but I highly encourage everybody, if you're in Colorado, go to the King Supers website. It was really easy to schedule.
What?
Just get yourself a vaccine.
Are you promoting King Super
Serious.
vaccinations?
I'm promoting an easy way to get
It's like-
a free vaccine appointment.
That
He
is
gets his CBD at the gas station.
that is literally like my.
There was CBD. There was a big stand of CBD right next to where you walk in to get your.
That is literally
your
like
shot.
my way of like telling somebody who obviously doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, yeah, go get your shots at the fucking King Super, you dumbass. And it's like, yeah, come on down to King Super on Dave's call.
I'm just saying,
Hey,
you know,
You can get quick grocery.
you can pick up
and
ding dongs on the way
Get
home.
your ding dongs and your fucking Fauci ouchie, and you're out the door.
You're out there.
Bam, bam.
I have a feeling you'll be able to get numb nuts in King Supers really soon.
Ooh.
You'll be seeing that. Good. Look at that
Really?
segue. Product placement.
Oh yeah, and we need to talk to them because I'm lacking on the peanut butter.
Oh, that.
Well,
peanut
he's
butter.
listening now, I'm sure. So
It's been a few months now. Okay.
Yeah, that.
New Year's was like a high. We were riding high on New Year's.
Yeah.
And now we're fading hard. And you know what it's like when you need. You know how it is when you need peanut butter.
Right.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, no,
It's
I gotcha.
Like your brain just goes peanut butter, and you're like, go straight. Gotta have it. Like behind your knees start to get like buckle on you or something. You're like, I don't know if I can. And then you eat a couple like straight out of the thing, and then you're like, okay.
Did he just describe himself
survived.
as
I
being
survived.
Popeye and spinach and
survived.
equating that with the peanut butter? Dun, dun, dun.
It's kind of like that, but it is weird. It's like obviously it's some sort of fucking protein or something your body's craving because you're like, I need it.
Check-in question. Adam,
Well-
what does the kosher kitty taste like?
Oh, wow. It's really good.
It's very
It is, dude.
creamy. It's like a creamy, diesel-y flavor or something like that. It's nice.
It like opens up when you open up the jar. It like your nose like opens up. It's like aromatic. I don't know.
It was that out of what you sent over, that one was grown. Like if we were just, like before you smoke it, if you're just looking at it, the finish, the texture, the feel, everything about it
It's not a
was
huge-
so
it's-
90s.
It wasn't a real huge yielding plant, but it was like one of those ones where every bit of it was sticky and resiny and slow burning and all those good things, all those great things we love. But I think it's one of those things that after a little bit of finessing, you can get it to chunk out a little harder.
Sure.
But
Chunk out a little harder.
Yeah, they look a little
yeah,
they're a little
it's like weird.
scrappy, scraggly.
Yeah, it was a little. It was.
You
not-
still have some?
of course.
I don't have any left to look at. I that was the first one to go. I didn't.
Nah.
I didn't-
Gone.
You
Gone
know
in
me.
60
I'm the weirdo
seconds.
that saves all the good stuff and then it's ruined by the time I get to it. But whatever.
Oh wait, look at that! Oh shit, there was a nug stuck. A tiny little piece of popcorn. It's half a bong hit for Mark.
That's right. Yo,
don't know.
I see Mr. Mojo Rising in there. Mo's been all over the fucking clubhouse thing. Jesus, every time I look, there's Mo in clubhouse.
Oh, really?
I'm scared to go in there. I'm telling you, I don't even want to go.
So
I'm scared. I'm like, no.
is it just random? Like it hooks you up with random people to do like okay.
You see
because-
you see the list of all the people, but that's the problem. Is like it doesn't matter. There's always somebody in there. You're just like, oh my god, I'm gonna be in that room. Like you're trapped.
Interesting.
Trapped in the room.
Because I started this other app called Stereo, and it's weird because it gives you like a cartoon face that talks for you while you're talking. You know what I mean? But like it pairs you up with a random person, and you basically do a podcast with that person. And then people can chime in that they're listening to you. They can just put a message, and you can play their message. And yeah, it's very weird, man. Like you get like paired up with some weirdos sometimes. I haven't done it yet, but like I've listened to other people that do it. Like another podcast does it as like a extra thing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting. Like I want to get Pauly B on there. I think he would be good.
Pauly
for
would be
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh goodness!
Need Paul.
Let him walk around Denver. Show everybody Denver while he's talking. I logged on and I got like all these. Hey, I'm here. And I got scared and I just logged off. And there was because there's some people I hadn't spoken to in a long time just happened to be on there right at that moment, or they got some, notice that you logged on and I took a step back. Did you guys see Anthony Walker's latest video about him taking the vaccine, but he took he did a mail order one and got the Russian one?
Oh, what?
Yeah, he it's a satire, right? He takes the vaccine and he says, day one, everything's fine, no problems. I got the shot, everything's really good. And he does this updates, for like 8 days. You see a little clip, and by the time he's on day 8, he's like, yes, I've got shot. I think it's very good. I drink this now, and he pulls out a bottle of vodka, and he sort of becomes a Russian over 8 days. I thought it was hilarious. I like that guy. We got to have him back on.
We will.
Have him punk Mark.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Somehow.
it's not gonna really work, is it?
Yeah, because Mark kind of knows he's in on it, but we'll punk somebody fun
All right.
and make Mark laugh.
So, James Bean, man on the scene. Why don't you come in a little early? We got to.
Where is he?
James Bean.
He's hanging in there.
Man on the scene.
5 minutes is not maybe enough for a guy like that.
I sent him a text, and it has that that auto response. You send him a text, and he says,
is he driving?
My mom said, eyes on the road. I listen to my mom. She scares me. However, this is urgent. Please type urgent, and it will go
He's
through.
always driving. That's it. I've had him do that to me so many times to be like, there's no way you're still driving. But anyway.
Yeah.
James Bean is obviously the man behind our first guest, which comes in at the top of the hour in 10 minutes. And he got super impressed, and I was excited. But we were supposed to have him on, I think, about a month ago, and then there was some sort of protest going on, and they went down to deal with that, so we didn't have a chance. And I was definitely bummed out because I was looking forward to that show. Since he's got an amazing Instagram. If you go through it, you're really like... you can see the fact that he's lucky enough to live within a reachable zone of just so many different regions and types of cannabis, and some of these are like like very random. Some of them are very specific. There's like stuff that's been
preserved,
pretty standardized as far as it, because and there's stuff that's completely 100% wild, never been touched by humans. Wow. And then there's other stuff that's half, and so it's really, really fucking interesting. And I think also that people now are starting to appreciate the fact that there's a much bigger gene pool out there, and that we're all just bottlenecking ourselves if we're going to just do OGs and sours and Girl Scout cookies, and just kind of keeping it so like narrow, which is the case. But what's funny enough, because I recommend that. I mean, I think a lot of the people who would listen to the show also listen to the podcast, and I listened to it yesterday because he has a 2-part on there, and of course, two-part.
Wow,
bro.
That's raising the bar, bro.
I know, right? Killing it. 2 hours each, though, so we sometimes slip it in. But Heavy Days, like he's a very good interviewer.
Very good interviewer.
Unlike myself. Very professional. So it's nice. You can listen to his show, and it goes like, bam, question to question to question to question. And he covers a lot of things that, and a few that we'll double down on, because obviously not everybody's listened to it. But you can kind of really see the passion in Irrazin, I think is his name. I hope it's pronounced right, but you can hear the passion, and you can hear the fact that it's like from real learning and not from the high times or from being Instagram. Now. He's very good on Instagram now himself, but you can tell it's probably not the case for most of the people that are growing out there, because it's
right.
like, what I mean. And what was the funniest part of the I won't. I'll save it.
I was like, what's happening here?
Save it for the guest.
Come on, I'll save it. Well, I'm hoping James jumps on.
Come on, James.
Look
at this.
There he is. Man on the
I'm
scene.
going bye-bye
Finally.
Man on the scene. Turn your phone sideways. I got one in.
Oh, phone sideways. Dave.
He got one in, dude.
It is sideways. Fuck you on.
There you go. That's the right
one. Oh, no. You have your screen. There we go. There we go.
Nice. Are you at the border? Where you at? Gas station.
I'm Hulkamania, brother. Hulkamania.
We're gonna have that means. Wait a minute. You're totally fucking the quota up. We're gonna have 2 Raiders hats on, because I know Todd Harrison will be wearing a Raiders hat. Can you turn that around? Because we can only show the Raiders hat once. Otherwise, we're gonna get charged.
Yeah. Well, nobody's gonna fucking charge the donkeys, right? Shit.
They're gonna cancel.
I mean, the Broncos. Sorry, Broncos.
Ooh. Whoa. So I was.
It's not like we were winning a record ever or anything, Fuck it.
Oh.
We don't.
So you're out without your. I see we're not wearing a mask, so that's getting Dave really nervous right now.
He's in the car.
He's scared for you.
In the car.
He's scared for you. I know, but you're outside. You're in the like zone. You ready to roll?
And I got my vaccination today.
What? You and him together, brothers? You guys are like Vax brothers. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now you sound extra special.
Are you having any side effects? Because about 20 minutes ago, my nose just started running.
No, see, I felt fucking awesome. Well, I felt like I can fucking live again, and I don't give a fuck if I have to wear this mask after another week.
Yeah, you do.
I felt pretty all right.
Yes, you kind of do, buddy.
Dave's half Dave's face is kind of like swollen. He doesn't even really realize it. So try not to. It's kicking in. I can see it kicking in.
His eyes like drifting off to the left.
Yeah. Your eyes look really.
Which end of the mic do I talk into? This end?
No. I did get it. I got the Moderna. Fuck it. I'm just I've got to do trade shows and shit. That shit's coming up, and people are going to be there. And if I'm not, then I'm losing out on business. So if I turn into a reptile tomorrow, so be it. And they put a tracking device on me that way I can get back to get the second shot.
Is there any chance you feel yourself becoming artistic?
Wow.
No, I did feel a little scaly earlier.
You don't have the sudden urge to paint?
No.
Okay. Good. Just making sure.
Yep.
So I was.
So you're gonna have Indian Landrace guy on?
Yes.
As they call him.
Now, is it Irrazin? How do you pronounce his name? Irrazin or Irrazin?
Good luck. I don't know.
Good luck. I don't know.
Yeah, some research
That's
you
not
did.
his name.
That's okay. I'll figure it out. We'll figure
You'll
it
have
out.
to ask him. He's a super cool guy. And I'll tell you, and I'm sure he doesn't expect us to know. You know.
No, but I was listening, like I said, I was listening to the podcast. It was really cool. I can tell he's got the knowledge, and it's all coming from just being there, which is the best. That's the best kind. Instead of being like, I'm very well versed because I've read a bunch of shit, but I haven't actually done it. And it's the same difference between like a guy who like never read anything but does it and figured it out the hard way, and then at some point gets to that point where they're just able to do it. Or you get somebody who's like reliant on their phone. Like if their phone is out of the fucking, oh no, how am I going to grow? I can't use my phone to check every single thing.
So something else I had, because when he came to me, of course, I vet everybody. You know what I mean? And so he's coming to me saying he's got all these landrace shit from all these fucking GPS points, and they're all matching up. And I'm like, man, how do I know you're the shit? But he's got this like 45-page book. And it's pictures of all the people that grow the shit. It's all the shit in the fields. It's all documented of his search, if you will, of getting all these genetics from all these different places, and the people that he works with, and the money that he gives back to them. And so it's really pretty cool. I need to figure out a way. I asked him if he was publishing the book. I was like, yeah, we could sell the book with each pack. It'd be awesome. But maybe he'll let me throw it up online if you can go through and look on it up there. But it was just kind of cool to flip through. It's I have an online version, of course, but I just going through the pictures of it, just like, geez, this is really the real deal. This is really coming from this area.
Yeah.
So
well, and just on his Instagram, you can really get like some like you can see the amount of variance within the strains. There's so many different types, and there's stuff in there that looks like, wow, that looks like something I'd want to grow inside.
Totally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but now we have
double. It's Raider Nation trying to come in on us, doubling up on us. What's going on?
Look at you coming in way early.
Coming in hot.
You're not supposed to be on for another hour and a half.
Buzz him.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's actually a Raider out there. There's a man who has
Hey, what's up, Raider brother?
You're 2 hours early there, Harrison.
He's just coming in here
You told me 7 o'clock.
He's
man.
coming in here to back him up.
I said 6:30 our time, which is 8:30
You're wearing
New York time.
You know what? If you're going to wear that jersey, I am out. I am out.
I put it on just for you.
He's on a Friday night. Not happening.
I'll fuck him up first. You can have him next.
Wow.
I mean, with an Elway jersey, like, seriously, you got to be kidding me.
Loser. Oh, sorry. No, he's not. I know you guys think he's God. Sorry.
What? Who?
You guys love Elway. He's your fucking king.
I mean, listen, all
Yeah.
Elway's a fucking douche. It was a $5 jersey I got at the King Supers.
Well, hey, I didn't have to
You're
do it.
like
You
King
did,
Super, like
Yeah, dude.
promotion
Yeah, he is.
master, dude. How much? What do you got? Stock in that shit or what?
That's what
No.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Talking about King Super the whole show.
He's got the super coin.
Nope.
So
No stock in King Super.
So yeah, Todd, we were gonna have you.
Yeah,
on
so
at
what
6:30.
I was saying is correct me if I'm wrong, but now we see this. We're playing in this giant fucking multi-poly hybrid back fuck. You know what I mean? Because everything's related to something until it just crosses the same shit or this shit.
Well, it's a bottleneck.
So
it's a big
actually,
bottleneck. We're having
But
a,
yeah,
we're having a huge bottleneck right now.
We're inbreeding and doing all that shit. So when you breed to these new males and these landrace males, it's like, I think you explained it, it's like wiping your hard drive clean. You get like this fresh start, this new plant in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think we're gonna hopefully see some of these breeders using those and working them and bringing back those fresh, healthy, vigorous genetics.
Yes, sir. I think I just found another new name for another new seed company. Bottleneck Genetics, bro. That's the fucking next one. That's copycat Bottleneck. We got all the good names. Come on,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like cookie on cookie on cookie on cookie.
Exactly. It's perfect. It's a perfect name for your big clusterfuck.
Exactly.
Bottleneck cookies?
Yeah, Bottleneck. First one will be clusterfuck OG.
Bottleneck
Well,
runs?
it's just so inbred. Everything's fucking its close cousin these days. You know what I mean? It's just in those. We saw how that turned out.
Bottleneck Blue Dream?
Yes.
Well, Blue Dream's making a comeback if you're growing commercial, believe it or not.
Sloppy Bottleneck.
Ooh.
We're not bringing Sloppy back. Are we bringing Sloppy back? No.
We're bringing
Why
Sloppy
not?
back. Yeah, we're bringing him back.
We like Sloppy.
What are you
Sloppy's
talking
good.
about?
It's great.
Sloppy was awesome.
Yeah, what are you
He's
talking
getting
about?
all sorts of fish shit. He's gonna be stoked.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So let me hit up with.
Go ahead. I'm gonna kick back and watch, learn some stuff. Watch you talk to him.
Yeah, we
What?
totally fucked up the feed right now with 2 Raider hats on the same thing, man. That's
Yeah,
just
that's very not
Yeah.
cool.
No.
not cool. 2 Raiders hats at the same time. I know. I'll probably get. Forget.
All right, Dave.
All
We'll
right.
get over it. It'll be all
We'll
right.
get over it. It's all
It'll
right.
be fine.
It's a friendly rivalry.
It takes
Nowadays
2 Raiders
it
to
is.
match up 1 Bronco.
It hasn't been a worthy rivalry since McDaniels got fired. Anyway.
Well, I have a Bill Romanowski jersey, so I mean he
That
played
wasn't
for
worthy
both
rivalry
teams.
until we beat you last year.
Oh, had to go there.
Yeah.
Had to go there. I'm still waiting for Todd to come to Colorado. I'm a season ticket holder of the Broncos, and we can go to a
This
Raiders
is
game
Oakland
together.
too, by the way. It's not Vegas. This is Oakland. I'm still Oakland. I don't know how I feel about Vegas.
Well, you better get used to it if you're a Raiders fan, I guess, right? That's where they live now.
I know. But yeah, so this week, what we have genetically wise, so we have his stuff online. There's, I think it would behoove anybody that was interested in something, go over and buy them right now because they'll probably be sold out by the end of the show. They come from like something I'm going to talk to him about. They come. He's got like a bunch of different, like 6 different regions where these things, where he gets these things. And he has maybe 4 to 6 strains from each region. And the regions are put out there by GPS coordinates. And just like I can't even pronounce the shit where it comes from. It's just so out there. You know what I mean? It's just it's
out
not,
there. So foreign.
Out
So foreign.
there,
It's
man.
foreign, bro. It's like a foreign language. It's crazy.
But that's what you want.
Doesn't it make you remember Homegrown Fantasy when he mentions like they have a picture next to the genetics? So there's the picture of the plant growing. There's the seeds you can buy. That's how Homegrown used to sell their grass.
Yeah.
They used to have a picture of the plant growing. They used to
I
have
had
some
a
grass
guy-
there.
I had a guy that
How
was
much?
a little bit like him, where he would come in from Morocco and he would have he'd have photos of the plant, photo of the hash, and usually use a cigarette pack next to it so you could kind of get a judge for the size, and then he would tell you the
Nice.
coordinates. And
The size, why? I can fucking make a plant 4 feet tall. I can make it fucking 6 inches tall. It's up to me.
yeah, no, but the size of the buds and stuff. So he was just like, this is the size of a
6
bud, and
inches,
he'd
4
put
feet?
and he'd put a lighter, or he'd put a pack of something that you knew the size of it, right? And then, but actually, I gave some of those seeds to Colin. Colin did across the Moroccan, I think he called it, which was
Oh, racket.
and it was fire. He had some amazing shit that came out of it. So those land races are definitely tapped. Like it's where you can tap into, obviously, things that haven't been manipulated. And give it a few.
Now, would we call those almost true maybe not true F1s, but F1s? Because
Well, no, they're
Just
not.
so that the first time those
You can
are
create
touched.
your own F1s from those because
Correct.
they're going to be some
Correct.
completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Whereas it's pretty hard if you're just getting seeds now to have anything that's a true F1 because of the fact that
correct.
there's going to be some back. There's going to be some generation back where you're going to have a kissing cousin to a Kush or a sour or a cookie or whatever. So. Or a granddaddy perps or
by using a male and breeding with it, those would give you almost true F1s currently.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I think so. I hit him up. I said we're ready. Let's see. I don't know.
Do you tell him 5 times his time?
He knows what time. I hope so. Hit him up on your side so we can tell him we're waiting. James.
Yeah.
I was always told that the
I'm
truth
here, I'm
from
ready, I'm
14er
ready.
was a landrace strain. Todd's back.
Todd's
He's
back. He's like, I don't care. No
leave,
guest.
but
I'm here. I heard you're missing a guest over here.
Hey, is this really not the right time, Dave? Because this is what you sent in the calendar.
Dave's an idiot. Don't ever listen to Dave.
There's high, bro. There's not here.
The calendar was auto-generated. It's my fault. We got you scheduled for 6:30, but it doesn't matter because right now we can't get a hold of the Landrace genetics guy. So we might just have to segue. See, a fuck up can become like
he's
a
gonna-
pretty good thing. So we'll see. But yeah, if it's okay, if you give us an hour, and we'll be ready for you.
I mean, okay.
Dave fucked it
all
up.
right. I mean, I do have a family, and it's Friday night, long week.
Oh, look at him! He's pressuring us. Pressuring.
Just
The
saying,
pressure's on. It's okay. We can
You asked
wing
me
it.
this a month ago. You sent me a calendar invite for 7 o'clock. I built my night around this.
This guy
so that I
doesn't.
didn't disappoint you,
He
and
didn't
I
think you
get
knew
approved
much
for
about
that.
numbers. He was like, "This guy's not really a number guy. He ain't gonna fucking care about a couple numbers being a little off, like a couple dates, times, nothing big."
It's all
Look at that. I'm starting to sweat.
Look at
I'll see you guys in a bit.
as long.
Thank you.
Oh, you should have had him stay on.
Yeah, he got pissed off. I don't know if he'll even call back.
Dave, this is how Dave organized. I had it all figured out. I was like, "Bring him in. Do it. Let's do it." Now we're not gonna.
You
Now we're
want me to
not
get him
making
back
any
on? I'll
money.
send him a text.
Now we're not making any money. No, it's because.
Do you want me to get him back on?
We've never made any fucking money.
We're never going to make money now. It's all because of Dave. Dave ruined it. No, because if he's going to call, and then the other guy's going to come, and then we're going to have to cut him off, and then it's going to be just like we had with Wolf. Be all mad at us. Come on, Wolf. If you Wolf's listening to the show,
I sent a calendar invite for the I logged up. I had the whole thing booked out, and when I sent him the Zoom link. I said in the Zoom link and in multiple texts, and I even did the, here's the time in Mountain. I said 6:30 Mountain, which is 8:30 your time in New York. So, oh well, my bad. Maybe he'll call back later. What happened to our Landrace guy?
what's that? I'm not sure. I'm just texting
Where's our Landrace guy?
texting him now. Where's James? Is he still in the background, or has he disappeared off of us?
I don't know.
Everyone's left us. We're just in
see.
the hole.
They're all
I
gone.
know, we're in a hole.
We're in
now.
a hole. We're in a can of
It's
holes.
Oh yeah,
us.
everyone left us now. I think James was saying something. He was yelling, and he was like, and then he was gone. So everyone's mad at us.
Wow, that's all it
I
takes.
just took a dab of Full Metal Cherry resin.
Very nice.
I like it a lot. I like it a whole lot. What number do you guys put your cartas at? Because I know if you don't use the app, yeah, that's what I use it on too.
I have it on 3, and that's what Adam uses it on 2 as well. And we're both using the.
I guess
we're using the quartz, both of us.
I need that. You know what? I'm still using. I haven't unboxed the orange one yet. I'm still using the black and white one.
Can you do it, Dave?
Oh God! Look, Adam's leaving. That's it. I pissed him off too.
Yeah, we pissed
And
off
that's
Adam.
the end of it.
And he's out, dude. He's like not even in
He's
the room.
out.
He
He's
just took
done.
off. He took off. I guess we
Totally took off.
We could play.
You should.
What?
What are we playing?
I don't know.
I can't see your face, so I don't know when you're about to talk. So you got to put yourself on camera, you fuckstick. There you go, shitty Jamie.
Hi. How's it
He's
going?
back up there.
Yeah. Welcome. Wow. So this
Oh
one
yeah.
fell
Oh,
apart real
Vinny.
quick,
Right on, Vinny. Way to save it.
right?
Right
Good stuff.
on. So what was on the cannabis news page? Was there anything good we should talk about
I
right there
don't
while
know.
Adam leaves his own show?
Ha.
So I piss off Todd, who I can tell he was pissed off.
Oh yeah, he was.
I piss off Todd. Who would I piss off in the chat room tonight? Who was it there? Where'd he go? Enzo, I piss you off, Enzo. Come on. And I'm sure I can piss other people off.
Right. Of course.
What did Adam need to pee or something?
No, I think he's on the phone trying to get our guest on.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
This is when I have to fill time with
here
you.
we go. Oh man, here we go.
He's totally saved him. I was just going to smoke a joint and let people watch me smoke a joint.
Right.
Yes. Todd came back on, but because you weren't here, he didn't want to talk to me and he left.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yep.
See, fucked it all
Yeah.
up.
I'm not talking to that asshole.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't either.
With his.
No, see, it's exactly what I said though. If you had him come back on, then I would have checked with him. Then and then he. Anyway, it's all
Yep.
good. It's all good.
Are we all good over here or what?
Are we all, do we need, or
the
should I
hood?
call
Are we all-
Todd back?
No, will you stop with the fucking Jesus Christ. You obviously have no skills in this world of organizing people and guests, so you failed me.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. You're going to make me pull up the fucking
The
thing
list,
that says,
Montel Williams.
Jesus Christ.
I got this guy.
No, I don't. No,
Oh no! What
I'm
the one that
saying
says 7:00? You messed them all up.
The one where I say to him, Oh wait. So I think I kind of fucked up.
I guess I could sample some of these tunes if you wanted to hear some of the tunes. People are saying that we should play the tunes.
Oh, is that your? Yes, please.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, he's gonna do audio only. That's just fine. Oh, is this you?
I want to hear some Mark thumping bass.
Oh, you can't hear it? I'll do it the other way.
Nope.
I'll do it a different way. Sorry. Shitty Jamie sucking at his job again. Don't worry about me. But we are on diamondsofsauce.bandcamp.com. And this one's called Midnight Classes DS001.
And Todd won't be back, so we'll have to fill his spot.
It's okay. No, I think it's okay because I feel like we can drag this whole conversation out for hours and hours and hours.
Absolutely, though. Oh, that's
shows.
Nice, Mark.
Oh, you like that?
Smooth.
Yeah, I played the bass. Manny does all the production on all of it, but I just play the bass on it. And so that's that. He's in Reno. I'm in Denver. Diamonds and Sauce.
Oh, look at you guys. But do you wear the low-cut wide pants?
Oh, man.
Spandexy thing at the same time?
No. What are you talking about?
Like bootsy style or something. So the bass. Come on. You got to have some... Bass has got to like try extra hard to stand out from the crowd. You can't just be like boring old Mark. And
no. You haven't seen me on stage before, man. You know?
I know.
It's a whole nother thing.
I can imagine. This is pretty dope. Who does vocals?
I forgot who did the vocals on this one, but he was shouting her out. Let me figure that out.
So he organizes that somewhere else? Or after the fact?
Yeah.
You play the bass?
Beat Hussy.
Nice.
Yep. Mastered by Andrew Lozano. Yeah, that's some baby making music, that's for sure. But yeah. Tell Willie to call in.
Trumpet action on there?
That's right.
That'd be good.
That Cheddar Bob is making me laugh. It wasn't Cheddar Bob the guy from what was his name? What's his name? 8 Mile. What's the guy who did 8 Mile?
Who? Eminem?
Eminem. There you go. Wow. Sorry, I was blanking.
The guy.
That's another sign of the vaccine. I lose my memory now.
You're like, what's that guy again?
Cheddar Bob.
Look at perfect place for an interlude.
Yeah, man.
It's like, and we're not getting fucking booted off yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not yet. But later when this thing, what happens if this thing gets like picked up and then does it come up as a?
These are songs that we're just releasing on our Bandcamp for.
I know, but if that ever happens, though, what is the deal with that? Like, what if you have a? Like,
remember that one time at Bandcamp?
And then all of a sudden later it's all hot music and you can't fucking play it. What the hell?
I don't know.
So many questions.
Well,
tell us one of those stories, Mark. Remember what happened?
Remember what happened?
Remember what happened? What?
At Bandcamp.
Oh no! I don't. I was cool and I was able to do just jazz band and no, I didn't have to do like the regular band. They needed a bass player for the jazz band, so I snuck in there like that.
Nice.
Hell
like
yeah.
That. Hell yeah.
But yeah, you can go support it. We get all the proceeds today if you come out to get it on Bandcamp and support it. This is our first release, so they're like less than $2. So check it out.
Check it out. Check it out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear the bass in there.
There you go.
Oh.
Nice.
Any words from the guest or anything?
Yeah, I know. I definitely could tell that he took a little disco nap for a second there.
Oh, okay.
Because it was one of those like a ceiling shot. I got a ceiling shot with like like turn the phone on straight up, So I think he just needs a few minutes.
Excellent.
But we have perfect interlude
music.
Interlude
This
music.
is great.
Yeah. Look at everyone's like on it. Rosin Dogs knows what's up.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
What?
When the cops come and knocking, Dave. Fuck, what the fuck?
Wow,
Wow, I
Dave.
didn't take some shit there, Dank,
Yeah,
but
for
come on, man.
Wow.
Fuck that.
Dave.
I suppose we could have,
Jeez
if you have any
Louise.
questions for Adam.
Oh, this is.
I mean, not for Dave. Dave doesn't know anything. So
No.
maybe bagel making questions.
Bagel making and bagels and babies. He's really good at that.
Those are, what's wrong with those two
See?
things? Those are,
I
I'll
gave you a
take those
compliment.
skills.
There I am.
I know it. Thank
I don't
you.
know what's wrong with me. Here I am.
I know. Who are you?
Who are you? Yeah, exactly. Smooth.
Actually, somebody just mentioned the Dampgring. That place, you know what I appreciated about them was how their POS system worked. How like you didn't have to buy what was in the bag already. They just took the jar out and they entered what the strain was, and you just put it on the scale, and you could say you want more, and they just keep putting more on, and it would tell you what the price was, and you got what you wanted, and that was it. And I noticed when it got legal here, nobody ever used a system like that. They always were like, I'm going to sell you a gram, but it's only going to be a little over, or an eighth, and it'll be a little over. I'm like, why don't you just put what is on the scale, like you're buying bananas, and pay for it? That's
the way
it.
it should be.
Don't you
Right.
think infusing bagels would ruin like the chemical like balance of the bakingness of it or something, man? I don't
Wow,
know.
that's
How
fucking
did we-
technical. Baking.
How did we get on infused bagels?
Telly was asking you. He'll give you a gram to infuse into a batch for him.
Nerf.
I just feel like the bagel is like a science. You know what I mean? Like bagel science. You know? And it's
Like?
like yeah.
Well, you would have to tell me, right? So we need a cannabinoid scientist to discuss what happens if you get higher than the decarb temperature. So, right, I'm going to boil the bagels. So they're going to be at boiling temperature for about 2 minutes, but then they're going to get put in an oven at 475 degrees for 22 minutes.
Yeah, that seems kind
so
of pointless.
I'm wondering that tells me that you're going to burn it off, right?
It'd be like
so
CBN bagels.
Yeah, exactly.
wouldn't it be better to just mix it into the cream cheese?
Yes.
You know, that you're spreading on the bagels or something like that, so you know exactly how to dose it properly.
Yeah, cream cheese.
Yeah, so it's pretty much it's just
Like that.
schmears. You should do can of schmears.
Wait,
Or
but
can
wait,
of
wouldn't
schmears.
it would be perfect for Ed's product, right? Because then you'd know you get 15 milligrams per packet. You just sprinkle it on right after you put your schmear on.
Exactly, which is totally lame and not at all what we want to hear, right?
Yeah,
I'm totally-
dude. You fucking failed us.
It's a complete failure. Failed.
Yeah, so no.
Anyway, no, but if you could figure out how to put it in to the actual dough with so it's not been it can't
Baked
be
the whole time.
and then it has to be activated within the bag. How long is your baking process, sir?
22 minutes
Oh,
plus the
perfect.
boil.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's actually perfect.
The
right?
boil is a quick,
boil.
right? The boil's not fucking
2
long.
2 minutes.
I could, if you think the boil is going to be a problem, I can lower that to about a minute, 30
No,
seconds
not at all.
aside.
Not
But
at all. Like literally, back when I was always just making fucking butter, old school style, and running it through a fucking cheesecloth and doing all the bullshit. I don't know where I came up with the number, but I was dead set on like 43 minutes or something. I was like, that's it, 43. that's the ultimate time. Like I tried it above, I tried it below, ended up at 43 minutes always, and I was like, 45 is too long. 40 wasn't long enough.
Right.
But it seemed like everything happened after about 45, close to 45 minutes, but I would just cut it short about a couple minutes. But I think anything above that, you're just fucking killing it, right? So 22,
is it possible it was 42 minutes and it was like that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
It could have
The
been.
answer to the ultimate question, 42?
It is. It's funny how it's 42, right? It's like,
Oh yeah, huh?
could be 420, bro. Could be just,
Right?
could be to the power of 10. What?
What kind of bagel can fly? A plain bagel.
Oh, but
nice
wait,
one.
but
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I got you.
yes.
That's
Finkelstein.
I didn't even.
Crushed.
That's Polly B. That's
Yeah.
Polly B.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Polly B.
Bringing us the quality.
Dude.
The quality, man.
Dude, his grandma was on Sofa Bab last week and she killed it.
Yeah?
He gave her the mic, and she just killed some jokes.
Yeah?
It was hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah, it
so
was
you
great.
know,
Oh, that's
So you
great.
know that whole family is just
The whole family's
crazy
like,
funny. Yeah.
like that. Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, she rattled it off. Perfect cadence. Like, we made fun of him because like hasn't delivered a joke on the podcast like ever. And his grandma came on and killed 2 of them.
All right, let me double check with our buddy.
Sweet.
All right.
See where he's at.
Yeah, let's double check.
Enzo plays poker. Well, I fuck you. You'll get me steamed and tilted right out of the gate, I'm sure. Actually, I went out on my last 4 tournaments on runner against me. You fucking believe this? Got it in good, and the poker god said, "Not today, Dave. You will lose."
Yeah.
And yep. That was the end of that.
Poker.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
You've heard of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't stand card games. I don't know what my deal is. I think it's just having to sit
I
there
hate
with
it.
people. Yeah, I can't. I feel like trapped and in jail.
Oh,
and like,
the
yeah.
worst. Yeah, exactly. Like when you are, that's the time you do that. But that's something I don't want to like strive
Right.
for. I'm not striving to
Nope.
get to the point where I'm like, well, I guess we're playing fucking cards because we
fuck.
got 20 years to sit around and do nothing. Like that is not a time when I want to. That'll be it. Save all my.
Yeah.
No, because it's true. I have the same feeling. I'm like always, even board game, all of it. Board games, I'm the worst. Like my kid,
Remember how you talk about when you're in the garden and you're like in the trance in a zone, and it just you're in your happy place and you're doing your thing in time and space. Well, when at a time in my past when I was really playing poker, it was, I mean, you just blink and 8 hours went by, and then you start saying things like, even the worst day at the poker table is better than the best day at work. So I might as well just have fun playing poker. And that's what I did.
Okay, I think
It was
he
a
is
blast.
ready to roll.
All right.
He's gonna jump on in a sec.
So that means like 5 more minutes.
No, I don't think so. No? I don't know. I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not
I'm
sure
having a
if-
cheddar bob. You can see the cards, the reflection of the cards on my forehead.
Nice. Actually, someone said that, and I looked to make sure that I didn't have the thing all messed up. So you had the halo.
I
on
do
there.
play for charity. The charities of every other poker player at the table, Enzo,
Oh, very
becomes my charity that day.
Nice.
That's usually the way it works lately. I pay them to send their kids to college.
Is there a way to do a poker thing during our 24-hour deal? Because it's a 24-hour deal, so that seems like time to play.
Oh, I can get into some games,
Oh.
sure.
That's
Someone has joined us, but no video.
no video. No, he's not gonna do
Okay,
video.
Yeah, that's our guy.
That's our boy. Okay, cool.
We are-
Welcome.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Uh,
Welcome to the show. And how do you pronounce your name first off? Because that was always a. I hate to not know that.
Irrazin.
Is that such a good name though? It's like the perfect name for a
Right?
guy who loves weed. You're like
Resin.
Irrazin. Yeah, perfect. I love it. Okay, so welcome Irrazin to the show. And did we have our time screwed up where you thought it was at the other opposite 420 by any chance? Because it seems like we may have.
Actually, yes, because I
I
was
saw-
looking at the time and
I am not the only one that fucked up tonight with the times.
you
I
got
looked.
it.
I saw when I was going to because I go to bed really late, around 3:30 in the morning or something like that, and right around 3:59, I saw joined our thing. I'm like, that's interesting. It's almost 4:00. So okay, sorry about that. Well, I'm glad you could join us. I don't know. I'm sure we're not on the most convenient time at this point, but we'll take it easy with you. Don't worry. We won't make you think too hard. Try not to make you think too hard out of the gate. So we had James on a little earlier, and he was giving us a heads up on your that you guys have these 6 different provinces that you have selected strains from, and then the different. We didn't go into any of them because I figured we could do that a little bit later. But yeah, I think it's pretty exciting for a lot of the listeners because these days land races are becoming finally recognized as what they are, is building blocks of real, original things that are locked away within those plants or within those seeds, and now finally people have a chance to be able to flex a little bit and try it out. So tell me a little bit, because I did listen to the podcast with Heavy D, and he was definitely amazing. It was an amazing interview. So I'm telling everybody who listens to the show to go listen to that one. We'll try to keep it a little try to not just repeat all the same questions, but there was one that in the beginning, of course, because he always asks the same questions, which is, where you started and things like that. And your story was awesome because it was like real, just shows you how it's as real as it can be. So can you maybe just tell us that little story out of the gate? Because I think that'll kind of sets everything up for the reality of where you live and how life is.
Yeah, sure. Actually, so one of the things that I always try to make sure that people do understand is that this wasn't started off like as a company, or it wasn't started off as that we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. It was a small internal revolution, within one person, and then that it was spread out to other people, and all the people that had a similar vision and a similar concern around landrace varieties of cannabis, like you said initially, that not only that they're very important to people, different people, breeders have different expectations from landrace varieties, when they get them, and then there are some people, who just want to preserve them. So everybody comes from a different angle, but at the end of the day, some way or the other, everyone understands, that why these building blocks of, the modern cannabis are very important, and not just because, we might want to revisit these varieties, or, we just want to like fix some of our varieties and kind of go back. But I think in a lot more, there's a lot more to it, when it comes to preservation and, to landrace varieties. So, that's one of the things that I want to make sure that people always understood, and as you were referencing to that interview from the podcast, so I just try to make sure that we tell people exactly how it happened, and the message that I wanted to get across was that wherever you are, whatever stage you're at, you just have to do whatever you can at this point in time. And just keep, doing that. And whenever you get an opportunity, just scale up, to do the preservation, or, even if that's just the breeding that you're doing with landrace varieties. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, we also just started, I just started out, as a matter of fact, as a curious person. I smoked, I got very interested in it. I wanted to see where these things come from. And when I actually went there, it was a whole different... I never expected the kind of effect that it had on me. So when I went there, it had a very profound impact on my psyche. And from that point onwards, I just had this vision that, I just know what I have to do. I have to go to as many places as I could go to of traditional cannabis, or where you have natural primordial cannabis populations growing at. And just not only collect all these samples, but also, collect information about, the places they grow at, about the geography, about the climate, about the cultures, that these plants have been there because of. So just a lot of things. And as we started, doing it, we understood, more and more that what needs to be done, and how it needs to be done, how it needs to be communicated to people, so that it's not only, that it becomes, interesting, and it becomes understandable for a wider audiences as well. And it's not just confined to, our cannabis community. So I think that all these small little things, they just like create the whole journey, and, every bit is just as important as any other.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're living in such an amazing spot for the ability to get to all these different types of, microclimates that are surrounding you. And like when I go through your Instagram account, it's like I'm like, you can really see the variances within the like within the fields themselves. You'll see like there's a lot of variables, which means that there's a lot in there, which is awesome from a breeder's point of view, because it's like, what I would, as a breeder, I would hate, like everybody wants to see fields of cannabis, and big corporations want to see fields of homogeneous, perfect cannabis that's all the same. But as a breeder, it's kind of like, no, that's like the last thing I want to see. I want to kind of see those wild interpretations and things that are out there that are hopefully preserved along the way, which is what you do an amazing job of. And just documenting it and getting to the people that are actually producing it is great. Like I was watching one of your Instagram videos of like them sorting seeds and just, seeing it done like, raw and in the field, like, okay, this is this plant particular, to be able to get the seeds from the plant that you see. And, because I had people who used to do that for me. Like when I lived in Amsterdam, they would bring me seeds from Morocco, and they would take a photo of the plant, and they'd show me the region and kind of do what you're doing, like map it out for me. And it was great, because normally you get like a little scribble, with some little thing, and you have no idea what you're working with. But in the beginning, I guess like you said, you were just doing it for your own sort of curiosity and to find those things. When did you actually decide, or when did you realize that there was also business to be done? That maybe not necessarily that's the focus, but that there, that there's a whole world out there of people that are like looking for what you are able to have access to.
Yeah, I think there are like a couple of things to it that I would like to state. And first and the foremost thing is the motivation for doing such a thing, and that was the incentive that we could provide to these communities, because one of the things that I realized, because I was not just going out there and like trying to collect these varieties. At the same time, I was also a part of the larger cannabis community that exists outside of Asia and the European and the American from countries, right? Mm-hmm. So what I was able to see is that, all of these varieties that, people have had for a very long time, they've bred into something, or they've just like selected it, from its general population. But it's very seldom that, whatever like financial incentives are generated out of those things, but it's very seldom that something makes it out to those regions, leave alone in a very, direct manner that, you're offering it to someone. But, even in most indirect manner, that money, or the monetary gains which are like generated by those seeds, they just don't. So we just wanted to fix that. That was the first part that I wanted to take care of. But apart from that, when you're working with these farmers, you have to understand they're selling resin. So if I'm going to be making them interested about their own seeds, that I have to show them some sort of incentive in it, that why you should be, saving your seeds in a very specific way, or why you should be, saving a certain type of plants and, then like not use them for resin, instead, dry them out, and, we could like use them for seeds only. So that's one of the things, that makes sense to them. Okay, if we do this, then we can make some money, because at the end you have to understand that, everyone, needs some money, to get by. And especially people in these communities, because no matter how much they grow, they just tend to be struggling, no matter what part of the world you go. There's this one common thing that I've found about, traditional cannabis places, that no matter how big of a growth they have, they'll always, be struggling because of some, societal or like some sort of hurdle that, that there's a middleman, or there's something.
It's universal though. I think that sounds like a universal thing. Like there's like so many people in America too who didn't get involved with legal cannabis because it's the bar is too high to get involved. So they stuck to the underground or the traditional market, and even when like there's like always moments and times where you get a really high price for your product, but then there's also times where that same product is it's like the stock market, where it just drops to the point where there's like OGs.
Absolutely.
oh, geez, that used to get 9,000 a pound or 8,000 a pound, ridiculous prices in the 90s, are now struggling to get $100 an ounce. You know what I mean? It's like, really? Yeah, it's like people are doing $50 ounces and all the way up, and it's like you're thinking like, wow, okay, that's a huge drop. But I think when I listened to the podcast, I also realized that you were saying that there is a market for like the reversal where you're getting like American genetics coming into India and or actual product coming into India. Is that the case? Like high end cookies and bullshit strains? Not really bullshit strains, but strains in our opinion. Like you're bringing sand to the beach if you're sending weed to India, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's like, why would you? Like, don't you shouldn't waste your time. I mean, you should definitely be able to find enough things. But I guess everybody's so hype orientated. I was amazed to hear on that there was high expensive indoor available in India too, right?
Yeah, I mean it's counterintuitive when you think about it, because like you said that it's like putting sand in a beach, but in reality that even though that it's been happening so much here for such a long time, and when you talk about cannabis and everybody's been smoking cannabis for like thousands of years, but when you talk about like smokable bud or like flowers, I don't think there has ever been a market where you have like seedless flowers and really a culture of, smoking seedless flowers, even though you do go to northeast of India and South India. And, 99% of the times you will see that people are smoking flowers. That they don't smoke resin. They very seldom they make hash out of it. But that flower is, it just would not stand in comparison to something that's bred from the hybridized modern gene pool. But at the same time, we understand, I mean as a preservationist or as a breeder, from whichever standpoint, you do understand what value that genetics hold, and one does not simply compare it to a hybrid in terms of potency, because we just understand it wouldn't be as potent as some of our hybrids are.
Right.
But still, they're really important. But yeah, when you talk about a market, where people have buds available readily of, high potency, we're not. I mean, here you have to understand, when we're talking about general public of India, like most 99.99% of the people are not really concerned, that they want to smoke landrace variety. What they're really looking for is an exotic experience, just like everybody else in the world. I mean, so if you happen to be here, then your exotic experience is defined geographically, whatever is like the farthest from you, and that happens to be America, Europe, and then also, these countries also happen to have, some of the most potent weed as of now. Like you're one of the breeders, I understand, and you have a fair bit of contribution in that. So yeah, I mean, there's a huge market for that. At the same time, India is, probably one of the places where, cannabis comes from, if I have to speculate. But at the same time, hybrid varieties are very scarce here. And, if someone has hybridized flowers, they can like really name their own price. And a normal price is like around like $15,000 to $1,500 an ounce of, seedless cannabis, that basically can be categorized as hybrid.
You got Dave all excited.
Wait.
He's like, whoa.
When are we going? Wait. How much?
Yeah. Crazy prices.
It's about 1,000 to 1,500 an ounce. That is if you buy an ounce, so you get a discounted price. If you're trying to buy it per gram, it could go as high as like $50 to $60 a gram.
It's like
but it's a luxury item. You have to understand. It's a luxury item.
Yeah, it's like Japanese prices back. It's like it was in Japan, where I was just like, really, you pay that much? Like, oh my god! But yeah, it's crazy when you think about the fact that it's growing wild everywhere. You know what I mean? And then you have people taking it around the world back to the origins, basically. You know what I mean? And maybe not the actual origin, but yeah, it's interesting. But it is like the world is coming to closer and closer, and because of like Instagram, things like that, you got everybody knows what's up and has heard of whatever the hottest strain at the time is. Do you see a lot more Do you see a lot more cannabis tourism? Well, now maybe not now, of course, because of COVID. But pre-COVID, did you see a lot more cannabis tourism coming from the fact that people are now being more exposed to cannabis in America and other countries on a legal basis?
Yes, I mean, I would say, I mean, especially, like looking at it from the year 2017, 18, and 19, we had like quite a few people, as a matter of fact, quite a few breeders coming, from Europe and America. And they just simply came there so that they can experience, they can look at these plantations, as many as they could. Some went to more, some just went to like a couple of places as, they could manage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see, that, and you have to understand, someone who's coming from America or Europe, he's spending a lot of money already, just by taking a flight and then, staying here and everything. So it was really good and interesting to see that these people are, willing to spend so much money, just so that they could come over and, take a look at these plants. And really, I mean, there's not much you could do. I mean, you could just take a few seeds, and you just have to be passionate about it, the way I see it. So yes, I mean, a lot of tourism, in terms of people, who are breeding, or people who, might want to get into breeding. So they're just trying to go out to these places and try to get a real sense of how it's done traditionally, and, maybe just connect with the plant at a very basic, at a raw level, with these people. And then just kind of go back. Yeah, it could be similar to something like this. You have these fighters, sometime, fighting at like big promotion, and they sometimes, they go back to like Thailand or, places like these where these martial arts came from, just to, just like to reinvent themselves. So yeah, if you want to look at it in that sense too, I mean, I would say, definitely, a lot of breeders, might even be planning, to go to a lot of places, other places like Southeast Asia or in Afghanistan, or Pakistan, so that, they could get a fresh perspective on cannabis and, get some like, new genetics to just breathe some freshness into, into a somewhat redundant gene pool, if I may say so.
Well, and like we were saying before, though, redundant yet highly sought after at this point in time, and it is.
Oh, absolutely.
It is funny because like when I moved from America in '89 to Europe to Holland, and then I was in Holland from '89 till 2010, and it's like the same sort of deal where everybody now in Holland wants genetics from the States. And the whole time that I was in Holland, people from the States wanted genetics from Holland. So it was like this whole switch over where everybody, and you got to imagine that a lot of times it was like you were buying genetic, or people were really wanting these certain genetics. And it was like, well, those are actually coming from where you are. They just came over here, got reworked, and now you're coming back. You know what I mean? So it is kind of like a real mishmash going on with all the modern stuff. I think one of the interesting things about places where there's wild cannabis, or just massive amounts of local cannabis, is that when you bring in something, unless you're bringing in like tons and tons of it, or you're growing crazy amounts of it, the chances of you really putting a huge dent, I think, into the whole thing is pretty hard, because I feel like it kind of works itself out a few generations out, where it just kind of like, you might see it the first F1 that you do, you'll see a lot of like, okay, this is very much like this mom, and this one's very much like the dad, whatever. But if you're trying to do it in an area where there's massive amounts of pollen just flying around, then I think it just gets cut back out pretty fast. Have you noticed that, like when you bring an OG over, or people have like given you seeds, and have you grown genetics like that and seen any kind of things change over time?
I mean, I don't have that much experience, to be very honest, that I would see that sort of changes, because, I mean, it takes time, like a decade or, over a decade to experience, such things. But I will tell you something, that I know academically, and, I've studied and learned about plants in general, not just cannabis. It's, when you domesticate a wild plant, and, you domesticate it towards a very specific expression. So if after that, you do not maintain it, what would happen, what you would see. I mean, you don't even have to, go into a place where you're like crossing two different genetics. I'm speaking about, domesticating a specific variety. So if you don't, maintain it, what you would see is that it would eventually begin to degrade and sort of like regress back to a state, where the plant could thrive in that particular environment, in the best possible way. And that's, what we're really seeing when we're looking at these landrace populations. What we're looking at is a population of plants, which happen to be on that year the perfect embodiment, which was required in that locale. So if that plant, expressed in a different way, then it may or may not have, gone on to be able to make the seeds even or survive in that climate. I'll just give you a small example. Let's take an example of, when you go to Afghanistan or, these high latitude regions where it's not that, where it doesn't rain that much, especially around the flowering time. The resin seemed to have a very, very dry texture. And, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, why would it be that way? But when you go to other places, like you go to subtropical or tropical places where there's a lot of rain, there's a lot of humidity during the, during the time that the plants are flowering, what you would experience is that, those plants seem to have a very sticky, a very sticky texture to their resin. And that just, that's just something so integral to the survival of those plants in those regions, because it just rains constantly, and if it's very dry, that'll be hard for the water to just pour down out of the bud. So because they're like really sticky, what you see is just water just does not like stops around the buds, and then the buds are airy too. I mean, so there are like a couple of things going on for that plant that you can see it has adapted towards. And that is simply and only to mitigate, the environmental risks which are present in that area. So if you bring a plant like OG, you can grow it, but, anything that would be influenced by it or, which would look like that would eventually not survive and will get, naturally get selected out,
Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying.
Because it's just, because if it were expression, that could survive there, then you would already see plants like that. I mean, apart from the potency, whatever it has been selected for the OG. I'm simply talking in the terms of the way plant looks. So if it's not a successful adaptation, then it will not work there for, over time. It will just disappear.
Yeah. I mean, you can think about it when you think of all equatorial strains, they're usually much more designed for maximum being able to repel water, or able to cut through it either by the shape of the buds or like you were saying, the resin, the type of resin. Okay, so one of the things that's interesting when you touched on here with resin types, which I think people now, because they're into concentrates, are figuring out that there's some strains that are just not good for making hash or traditional hash. There's some stuff that's awesome for making BHO or some other concentrate on quantities or qualities. But the minute you try to actually make and charas being even more extreme like that, because there's nobody in America making charas, right? It hasn't happened. But traditionally, obviously, that is the preferred method in the region that you're in, and then you go to other places and they're more into screening, and so obviously a different type of resin gland is going to be more preferable, because like for instance OG is like it's just makes shitty hash. Like it makes great concentrates technically, like as far as strength, but it doesn't have the right consistency. And so I already know that it's never going to be good for, like, it would make the greenest charas you would ever probably have, you know what I mean? Because it has that consistency. But because of that, do you see that amongst the plants that are there though? Like some plants aren't good for char, like they know, like the locals know, like that's not a good strain for that, or those strains just get tossed because there's no point of them anyway. How's that work? Once they've grown something, let's say if a farmer has, 10,000 plants at the end of the harvest window, then, he's just going to simply go through it, without really scrutinizing it on a level that it would get in a place like America or somewhere in Europe in comparison.
But yes, I mean, the farmers do tend to, and not all of them, but like some of the farmers do tend to, select certain plants or prefer certain plants, over the others. And I'll give you an example. So, some of the things that I've heard outright from, farmers, and is they're always looking for plants, where they have to take out less and less of the fan leaves, and they have more and more of the buds and more of the part, that actually contains the resin. So basically, they have the idea, they have the right idea. I mean, they're just trying to, increase their yield. They understand if a certain plant, has more of this crystals growing on them, as they call it. Most of them call it crystals, trichomes. So if they have like more of these resin glands, growing all over the plant, then they understand that they'll be able to produce more resin, and which in turn would get them more profit. I mean, that's one of the main drivers, when they are like selecting, if at all they are selecting. And then, of course, there are people, who are like really old, or people, who just haven't gotten around, these things. So they just simply tend to, just go through the population without worrying about what plants look like. And then they just sow seeds, without actually selecting it from any specific plants. But then at the same time, there are people, who would prefer that, I see these 4 plants look great, they look the best. So what I'll do is I'll just take seeds from these 4 plants and plant them. And obviously, over time, you could see a clear difference between the crops of the people, who are putting in their ingenuity into selecting better and better plants over time, and the people who are just simply letting the nature take its course, because of course the plant is not working for us, so it'll just grow the way it has to grow, right? But yes, when we intervene as human beings, we can segregate the plants that make sense to us, and then we can just create a population, where most of them are desirable, to us in the way that we want to, produce resin or whatever we want to do with them. So yeah, it's different. I mean, some people do it, but most people, I would say, don't really select. But the ones few who do, I mean, their crops look apart for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I saw also one of the videos that I was pretty amazed at. I was watching, I'm not sure where the region was, but there was a guy making hash, and he was doing it with, it was almost like he was doing static tech, but he was doing it on a large scale with big pieces of metal, and he kind of was brushing them, and it seemed like he was just scraping what was coming off the edge, which to me looked like almost like it was how I would do with paint roller and parchment paper or something like that, but on a bigger scale. Do you know what video I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think you were speaking about Balochistan. That's in Pakistan. So it's interesting, even though these people all go with dry sieving. I mean, dry sieving is the method of choice for almost entire Kashmir, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, these adjoining regions of cannabis. But when you really get down to it and you look at their practices from region to region, they have these vast differences in the way they will dry sieve it. Mm-hmm. So just to put an example across, you go to a place like Balochistan, as you were speaking of, or even Tiravali. What they're doing is, that they're using like plates. These are like big steel or metal plates that they're using to sieve on like bigger cloth, and things are being produced in a way that you would call it being mass produced. And then they have graded it in like 3 different categories, that this is the first run, this is the second run, this is the third run, and they're priced accordingly as well. So they seem to have that sense. And then you go to other places like Kashmir, where they're also using the same dry sieving method, but it's just so much different from, what's happening in Pakistan, because these people are doing it in a very simple way. They're just putting a small cloth and, running really small batches and letting everything mix there. Their only focus is on the quantity. Mm-hmm. They're not really going for the quality, because when you talk about Kashmir, there is no really market out there. People really don't have that sort of money to pay for hash. Right. So whoever's making hash doesn't really have to put in so much effort into it, because he's never gonna get paid for that effort. So you can just understand outright, that they just and just go for the quantity straight away, so that they can sell it at whatever shitty prices they get there, and make their ends meet. But when you go to Pakistan and Afghanistan, there's a whole lot of freedom, and there's, a huge market, and then there are people, who just take it and, send it even outside the country. So the opportunities become so many, and so much that, they pay more and more attention, towards the details of how to extract it. And, even if you're extracting it, how to, make it better. If you could have like 3 products instead of 1. So you could see all of that is actually a byproduct of having, them having an access to a bigger market and actually being able to get a decent price, if not a good price. Because at the end of the day, all of these traditional farmers are getting bent over, no matter what money they're getting.
Sure. But
when you talk about
that one technique though, was that actually what he was doing? Was he getting just like static? Was it creating static on that metal to then scrape off that edge, or was it just because he was just kind of cleaning? Because it seemed like that. I couldn't tell in the video.
No, it was static cleaning. It's just that they don't make a big deal out of it. But yes, that was static cleaning.
Yeah,
and
it was just really cool because it was like, okay, that's on some scale. I mean, it's definitely you got to have a lot of product to pull off that small percentage and actually make something out of it. Because I know from experience, it takes a long time. You're like, all right, I've made a gram and a half. You know what I mean? But to be able to make kilos of it, it seems like that's a serious job. But yeah, to explain a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, there won't be many people, who'd be buying that quality. So at the end of the day, most of their produce is mass produced, which is like 3rd quality or the 2nd quality. The 1st quality hash, and if it is being, cleaned statically as it was being by, our friend in Balochistan, then he's only going to be doing it for like maybe a few customers, who just pay in advance, and they're like the connoisseurs. They just go ahead and pay him in advance in the season that, sir, I need like 2 kilos of that or 1 kilo of that. And he actually gets a very good price for that. But then there are not many people who would want it. So at the end of the day, he's not really making more than like a kilo or 2 kilo of that particular quality.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to find more than 2 or 3 people who would pay that sort of price.
Do you know how long they've been doing that for though?
No, I haven't really asked, how long they've been doing it, but it's something that they've been doing for quite some time. Because it's definitely not something, that they picked up in this generation. It's definitely been handed down to them. Really and those people are around like all 40, 45, 50 years old, right? So, you get the idea. Even if it came from previous generation, after at least around like 100 years.
45 years? You that old, really?
No, not me. Most of the farmers that we work with,
Yeah, no, it's funny. So that's super cool because that's also just like one of those things where it's kind of like when we had like when people would grind weed in a coffee grinder, right? And then it whips up the trikes to the top, and so anybody who has like an eye for it would be like, hey, look, these look really good, and you'd smoke it and go like, oh shit, it just kind of kicks off all the trikes. So there's always like a little shortcut to finding the cream, you know what I mean? But it's cool to see that because that's kind of like Dave Watson and those guys. That was their little secret for a while, was the whole static tech, and everybody was trying to figure it out. And then, people did it with CD covers and paint rollers. And now, it's just like to see somebody take it to the point where they have big giant pieces of metal and they're getting pretty decent amount, because I was looking at how much he was kicking off into a bucket, and I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. You know what I mean? I love that. So, I think it's really cool because making hash, as you know, is like it's like gold mining, right? Where everybody has their own way of doing it. Some guys do it with water. Some guys do it by just pure, just chiseling it out and running it through screens. And it's all very similar in the sense that we all try to get to the same goal, which is the gold or the cream or the best, the best part of the resin. Do you think obviously things have changed in the last, 20 years with, between the border disputes and poppies growing instead of cannabis and stuff. Do you think that who right now is producing the best quality hash in that region? You think, because I know a lot of places that maybe were at one point are probably compromised in these days.
Yeah. If you talk about resin or hashish, or however you want to say it, it has to be Afghanistan. You have to go back to the motherland of resin extraction, as I would like to call it. And the great thing, or I would say one of the surprising things, is that northern part of the Afghanistan, which is like more accessible, and you really have like a government hold there, so you can go there and you can see all sorts of techniques around extraction exist there, and they're just way ahead in like plantation and domestication and just about every aspect of living and growing. But even when you go to places like southern Afghanistan, where you don't really have the same environment, I mean, the place is under the hold of, most of it's under hold of Taliban. So, I mean, you don't know what to expect. I mean, what are you going to look at? Because there's not a lot of transmission of information that's coming in there. There's no internet. People are not supposed to have phones. You can take a gun there, but good God, you can't have a camera there. You get shot over that.
Yeah.
So
Priorities.
So one has to have like some sort of reservation. Okay, I'm going to go there, and these people don't really have that sort of influx of information. So maybe these will be the people where I will see something, which I haven't seen, and that's just not the case. You go to these places and you understand that the dry sieving, the hash extraction is so integral. So it comes so organically to these communities because they're growing and surviving on cannabis. I mean, of all people, they have to be the ones who would know how to extract it. And not only that, they know how to, extract resin from their plants beautifully, which is by dry sieving. They know, how to grade different qualities. They know that, if we want it to be good, it has to stay over for at least a year in certain condition for it to become, smokable. I mean, because when you have just extracted resin, is just raw. It's termed as raw in a very, I would say, in a very cultural way. You go to any of the, cannabis pots.
It also doesn't age. It doesn't age well if it's been taken out fresh because it ends up there's still water in there and there's still kind of like breakdown going on. And yeah, I've always noticed that too.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you would want the cannabinoids to crystallize at least to a certain point, So then you could really smoke, you can really get all the flavors when you're smoking them and not just, while you're smelling them. But again, these people do have that understanding, that they have to have it stored over for a year and they need to run it as a cycle, somewhat like a wine, where they have stocks coming from, previous years that they had put in. So in that sort of way. And then apart from that, there are some people, who go there during the season, they just want to pick up hash and get the hell out of there. So for those people, they have other ways of doing it. They would just take resin and they would just cook it by adding some water. And, they have this, their own technique. You can even find one of the videos on YouTube. It's not by me, it's by someone else, but you could see someone is in Kandahar, I think, or in some sort of some southern province of Afghanistan, and they're just like really cooking it and adding water to the resin, and they've like really shown the whole part. I mean, we'd like to get a good nice video and like make a small documentary on that too, but I think it's going to take some time. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that you go to any part of that country, no matter how secluded, how isolated that place have been from last how many years, you just see, they all seem to have the idea of all the cutting edge ways of extracting hash and in a very raw and their very own cultural way. But you see the idea is the same, just like...
And also quantities, like they're...
Yeah, quantity, which is insane. I mean, sometimes, you just stand in awe and you just looking at it,
Well, especially like if you've done it, especially when you've done it yourself and you realize how much work goes into it, you realize like, holy shit, that is all... I mean... amazing amount and consistent too, because that was the thing when I was growing up in the 70s 80s. It was like Afghan hash was always the fucking exactly the same consistent thing that came in, and it was always there, same price, and just it wasn't, I mean, there was obviously always definitely probably for every 1,000 pounds that came or 1,000 kilos that came in, I'm sure there was 100 of something super, higher quality that didn't maybe get to the average people, but there was always the consistency where you knew that was their like bread and butter. Kind of like how Morocco is too, where Morocco, you go there and you look at the plants, especially, I mean, now there's been a total change because of people bringing in genetics, but the original genetics that were there, kind of piss poor quality to begin with, and then they'd make hash, somehow magically make hash that was fucking good. You know what I mean? You're like, really? Like out of that? Like amazing. Like whereas the regions you're in are definitely much higher quality than there, even like where you think that stuff's bad, maybe where you are, there's even worse, but they still managed to pull off the world's most amount of hash at, then it is pretty amazing sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm looking at how much resources these people put in to grow these plants, which is like absolutely minimal. I mean, some of these communities, they just, put the seeds into the ground and then they just let the nature takes its course. For example, there's one of these places we documented during the Durand Line Project. It's called Mapan. So it's a place. It's basically like a highland region, and one thing, it's in southern Afghanistan, and then even there it's like on the highlands, so it's like super like not connected to anything. Mm-hmm. So people, the way they are growing cannabis is just so raw. I mean, they're just sowing seeds and then they're just letting them grow. It's completely rain fed, no irrigation, and then you also come across one of these farmers what he's doing is he's importing seeds from northern Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And he's growing it on the periphery of his on the periphery of his field, so that some of the males can go on to pollinate his crop, and over time he can have like more vigorous plants, because they understand that people in northern Afghanistan have had better opportunities in terms of access to certain resources, whether it's knowledge or agriculture tools or whatever, and they have been able to implement all sorts of techniques into their repertoire, and they have much better genetics when we talk about domesticated in the way they have been domesticated. I mean, just northern Afghanistan is just like head and shoulders ahead of all the other parts of Afghanistan. But at the same time, when you go to places like South, even though that some places like Mapan, like I'm speaking of, where the plants are not really domesticated in a way that you would like them to see, but the quality of the resin, it just does not degrade. I mean, somehow what you see is that no matter what their plant look like, the hash that comes out of it is so consistent, like you said, and it's very, very potent. So sometimes it's really hard for even us to understand, because some of these crops don't actually look very good, to be honest, when you look at them.
Right.
But when you smoke that hash, it's almost unbelievable to think about that same crop and think about the effect you're getting from that hash, and just reconcile the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think we get that now. We get that now also with our stuff too, where you'll have strains that were like, really unruly and hard to grow and a big pain in the ass, and then all of a sudden you make some extracts from it and they're amazing and they win a contest or some, for some, they fly off the shelf, and all of a sudden you realize like, oh shit, I guess we're gonna have to grow that super low yielding or that terrible structure or whatever it was, but at the end of the day you can't get rid of it because everybody wants it, because that's got a certain profile. So it's like we're people are finally adjusting to the plant, where they're not just growing the biggest yielding, fastest flowering thing. I think that the difference, I think one of the things that landraces, when people hear the word landrace, they immediately think of 14-week plants, 16-week plants, which is definitely part of the game. But I mean, what about, is there a certain region that has maybe quicker flowering varieties that are of decent quality that you can, like, what would be the region that you would go for that? Because that's obviously the genetics that most people would be looking for as far as to bring into their already active populations. Is there a certain golden zone?
Absolutely. So, I mean, you're absolutely correct in saying that there's a general consensus when you speak about landrace that, it's going to be something which will flower for at least 14 or 16 weeks. And a lot of people get deterred because of that they think, I'll even, northern climate and northern hemisphere. There's just no way I'll be able to, flower that thing outside, and I just don't have the space inside or whatever. There are like a number of reasons. But when you're speaking of land races, again, we're speaking of adaptation. So you have to understand that there's a fair amount of, these regions which are above 34 degrees north, as high as 36 degrees north, 37 degrees north. And when you go to these places, what you see is that the climate is such that the snow is going to set in somewhere around like the end of October. So the plant, has to have a flowering term which can finish before that event takes place, before the snowfall happens. And the plants which do not, they will not be able to make more seeds, every year on year. Only the plants, which were adapted to flower, faster before the snowfall happened, they were able to, mature their seeds and, put them in ground. Only those, plants survive. So when you go to these northern latitudes, you find these populations, that flower in about 8 to 10 weeks, because they would go into flowering somewhere around like end of the July or beginning of the August, and then they would just flower into like August, September, and a little bit of October too. So it's just you have to see what do you want, and you're looking for something which flowers short. You have to look at a part of the world where you could not finish a plant outside if it were to flower 16 weeks, and you immediately look at places like northern Pakistan and Afghanistan and northern Kashmir, and you understand any plant that thrives naturally in that condition, that is photo dependent, it has to make its seeds before the snowfall happens. That happens very early, like as early as late October or early November. Yeah. So then exactly where to go for those plants and where to find them. When you go to equator, there is no snowfall. To a certain degree, if you're very close to the equator, you don't even see any sort of like season changes, because it's just so close to the equator and the way Earth is and everything.
So would that be the Hindu Kush region? Would that be the same area, or?
Oh no, the equatorial region, like the regions which are
not the equatorial. No, not the equatorial. I'm just talking about
the first one.
The perfect spot would be sort of like would be Hindu.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hindu Kush would be like right out there, of course. It's kind of Hindu Kush.
Yeah, it's kind of the NorCal. It seems like it's the NorCal of the region or something like that when it comes to the compatibility, which is always
absolutely. It's see, when you go to Afghanistan, you have like two different kinds of terrain. So you have like flatland and lowland regions. Like you have places like northern Afghanistan, where it doesn't seem to have like much of the altitude, maybe around like 500 meters, 300 meters, 700 meters at the most. But on the other hand, those places are already at 36 degrees north. So, they have a relatively short season already. So anytime and around latitudes, 36, 37, 35, you have highlands, you have, let's say, an altitude as well in play, which is around like 2,000 meters. And you're taking it a step further. Because that environment is going to be even more harsh, even more cold, and, season is going to be like even shorter. So when you're like really looking for the plants that flower fast, I think Hindu Kush would be the place to look for that sort of genetics. But at the same time, it's not just about the flowering part of it. When you're speaking of such marginal environments like Hindu Kush mountains, it's not really one of the best places for your plants to grow. So whatever plant has adapted to that region, first of all, it has to be absolutely bulletproof. Right. And the second thing is that in order to ward off a lot of things, and especially, in high altitude areas, you have this high intensity of light and UV rate, high UV index throughout the year. So those plants have, gone on to adapt in a way that they grow a lot of resin on them in order to, reflect, UV. Let's say, UV radiations, or again, I don't want to say this is it, because
nobody really knows. Nobody really knows. It's kind of maybe that could be one of those. Could
so
be bugs.
I'm just trying to say what is general consensus.
I think harsh conditions. Definitely.
Yeah, so harsh condition basically begets that, because we've experienced something. You look at stinging nettle. There's a plant that's basically in the same family as cannabis, and that stinging nettle plant, we can find that plant in the lower altitudes, and they don't have that big of spikes. They don't have that many trichomes on them. I mean, they're like a bit different than cannabis, because if you touch it, it can really hurt your hand and all that. But as you go higher in the altitude, what you see is, whenever you see a stinging nettle plant, it tends to have more and more of those trichomes and more of those stings to it. So what we saw is like a positive correlation between the harshness, or not really the harshness, the coldness of the environment, or higher the altitude is, the more the plant has those trichomes, which could be spike for some plant, which repels predators.
I think also, I notice it too, like, because we're here in Colorado, so we have lots of, it's one of the things when I was driving in today, I was looking at the mountains and I was like, we probably got similar views in some spots, you know what I mean? But it's definitely, we have, lots of 14ers here. And when you drive up higher and higher, what you notice is, that all the vegetation gets tighter and tighter and tighter, like everything, like it seems like every cell might be a little smaller, you know what I mean, just to kind of make them more efficient. And you kind of see the plants they have to be more efficient. They can't deal with, and it's I guess it's the same, for all plants. They all seem to, if they're in the valley, they're going to be big, and each cell would be bigger, you know what I mean. And then you get up to higher in the mountains, and they're going to be tighter and more efficient, more woody. They can't be hollow stemmed up in the mountains because they'll just snap. So, but if you're down in some watery sort of spot, they'll just be like big straws. And is that? I mean, I've always been under the impression with the different types of charas that same sort of situation. The higher up the mountain, the better the quality of the hash. Is that kind of true, or?
Yeah, it certainly holds up to a great extent, I would say, even if it's not that black and white. But what I truly believe is that if you're looking to find plants which have large trichomes, which have trichomes which are densely packed all over the leaves and the bracts or stems and everywhere else, then you have to turn to places which have very harsh conditions, and especially they have high altitudes and they have very, very cold environments. So this is one of the places we went to, is Lolab Valley in Kashmir, and it's like around 34 degrees north, and altitude is about like 3,000 meters. You could be at 3,000 meters there, and you could still find plants. And we have now the good. One of the interesting things about these plants is that this population that we found at Lolab Valley was a primordial cannabis population. I mean, it's just the most the cannabis plant that I've seen, in its primordial form. So, that's how we, denote it and, try to categorize it. Right. But here's the thing, like nobody has done anything to those plants. So the way they grow, you can just tell outright, they grow like a vein and all that stuff. But the trichomes that they grow are like huge. Their stalks are sometimes even bigger than, some of the hybrid varieties that we've seen at. And it tells you something. It tells you that, the bigger trichomes are having more dense coverage of trichomes over the leaves and, other non-reproductive parts of the plant also, is not actually a byproduct of, what a certain group of people did with the modern cannabis, by, through breeding. It really is just a byproduct of a certain specific environment. And every time you run into a population that is growing in such a harsh, cold environment, you always see plants which have exceptional, trichome production, whether it's Lolab Valley, whether it's, Hindu Kush mountain, whether it's northern Pakistan. I mean, you just see, that there's this theme that goes around. It doesn't really take a genius to actually, figure that out if you just look very closely at these varieties.
Sometimes I'll see plants that don't produce much yield because they get kind of a weird, almost a mutated look. But it could also just be some sort of genetic, sort of recessive thing popping out. But they'll be absolutely covered in resin, right? Like to the point where you're like, this thing's putting out the resin on this thing has got resin, like it's amazing, and it'll look like, the production is terrible and the plant looks like it's not gonna, couldn't be put into any kind of major production. But at the same time, I think if now that people that's kind of where I think the whole modern hybrid thing is just a combination of the fact that we can take some of these bigger producing equatorial plants, combine them with some of these extreme resin plants that are, maybe not the best yielders, but just putting out the giant. Because that's the thing is, it really comes down to the resin gland size. Because if you're separating enough things, you can figure out that this is a great plant for, maybe for flower production, but at the end of the day, when you look at the percentage of resin coming off of it, it's not that much. And then you have another plant which doesn't look like it would have been worth growing, but grown dense enough, it's totally worth it because the resin count is so off the chart, So it's nice when people figure that out.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it across, I think. I mean that basically is the goal of modern hybridized cannabis, and it has been able to achieve and do its job pretty good as far as I understand. So if you go to Afghanistan, it's something I think something that not a lot of people would really readily understand is that if you look at a large enough population in a place like Afghanistan or Pakistan, you will be able to find plants which have just amazing, terpene content, that the smell is just off the charts. You will be able to find plants, they have resin, like you said, all over the plant, even at places that you wouldn't believe the resin should be. And then there are plants, which have this amazing yield. I mean, sometimes you don't even have to go to, other regions. I mean, within that population, you see all of the good features. But it's very hard to find that one plant that encompasses, all those features into one plant, one plant that has the size, that has the girth to its buds, it has an intense aroma, and, it also generates good effect as well and has, pest resistance. So you see different characteristics and, different plants. And that's one of the things, that makes landrace population such a wonderful thing when you're trying to breed something, is that you have all these ingredients, separated within a population. And your first job has to be, grow them and try to understand, what these plants do and, in what proportion they produce, what characteristics. But then another thing, that you would notice about these populations is that there will be some characteristics which will be absolutely similar across the board. Like I was speaking about, low-lab belly population. So in low-lab belly variety, I mean, I'm speaking of these bigger resin glands, and that is just something which is omnipresent within that population. Yes, they can have major differences in the way they grow, in the heights and, the way they branch sometimes. But you definitely see, some things are just absolutely integral to survival at those places, and they just seem to be present in an overwhelming fashion within the population. And you see the plants which really don't boast those, characteristics are never doing so good in the same field where others are. So, yeah, I mean, there's a whole, when you're working with landrace varieties, it just opens up, such a wonderful, I would say, gift for you that, you're not only breeding, you're learning so much. And for us, or for me, I mean, it has been particularly wonderful because at times I don't even have to grow like thousands of them. I could just grow there. I could go to one of these places and I could, be with those farmers and experience, what those, plants express and, what all you could see in larger populations. You could, record patterns within the populations like intra-population themes and all that stuff. and you could really sample resin from different plants. And when you come back to your own place, so you have the liberty that you don't have to go through 10,000 plants, because you by and large understand, what these populations are like, and what all you could see easily and what all could not be seen very easily and would be rare within these populations. So then you can act accordingly. And also, understanding what sort of characteristics come from, what places, it just like narrows down your process so much. For example, when the hybridization of all these modern genetics that we have today in Europe, America, it took close to like 50 years for people to get to this point. But it's not like you need 50 years to create something like this. It's just that there was not that sort of information. The internet was not there, and everything happened very slowly. But if today someone was to, perform, similar operations with those landrace varieties and try to create a hybrid, it could be done, in a fairly smaller time frame, like as small as like 5 to 7 years. Someone could achieve, what communities have been able to achieve in like 3 or 4 decades. But it has to be that way. When something starts off, the pioneers will always take more time, because they don't have any reference to fall back on. They have absolutely nothing. They're just pioneering it. That's why they're the pioneers. And as they do more and more of that work, people like us who come now, have this framework. We can look at all the mistakes which were making. We could see all the good things that happened, and we could see what the best plants look like. So we already have all of this to reference to, and then there's this other aspect that we understand, what characteristics are coming from, what region. So it just makes it so easy for you to, go approach the varieties that carry a certain trait, and then try to introgress them into a gene pool so that you can create your own varieties. So
right.
Yeah, and that way as well, it's such an interesting thing, and all thanks to people in the Western countries. They've done a lot, and they have really given like sort of a guidebook. If you were to do it at your home, or if you were to do it at some other place other than a traditional place, how you need to go about it. And if you're not in a legal place, how you need to go about it. So you learn a lot. It's really like a hitchhiker's guide, to growing cannabis in a legal world. Right. So when you go to these communities, so it's just, yeah.
It's the people by need, pretty much, like America always had the situation of it being illegal, and everyone had to work underground and do it to the best of their abilities. Now it's above ground, and those people are being used to help push it further. So in a way, America had a little bit of a boost, I think, because of it being so underground for so long, and everybody pushing it hard on the underground as far as hard as they could. And now having an ability to then flex and be able to do it 10 times the amount they ever did, but legally. And we kind of got a little bit of a boost, but there's places like where you are genetically, which we'll never be able to tap. There's so much stuff there that's trapped in those plants that, in the right conditions, like you said, I don't even think 5 years. I think they could do it in a couple of years, just because people can pull out a lot of really interesting things and pair them up. Do you have a lab that you work with normally, or do you kind of send it out sometimes here and there, or do you have somebody close that can do it for you?
I haven't been really able to, get hold of a lab, that would be really interested in doing something like this, because there's a financial part to it that it's really costly to get some of those things done. And, regardless, we still try to get that done. It's not like we skip over it, but yeah, we just feel, if there was a lab, which was just more inclined to do this and they saw some value in it, just from the data standpoint, if nothing else, I think it would really facilitate and speed up the whole thing. But
even like a mobile unit, that would kind of give you a reference point, even if it was just like your reference point. It wasn't necessarily like a, going into a sort of actual document or something, but in the sense of just for you to be able to gauge enough when you have some outliers that are interesting. One thing I did notice too is that when I was listening to the other podcast with you is that you said that a lot of this, you have a lot of 50-50 kind of pretty equal CBD THC strains just on a natural basis, which totally makes
that's
sense.
that's in Malana. That was speaking about, when we went to Malana, we collected seeds and I started sending it out. So this is what happens, when you send seeds out to people. One of the good things is that you get data back, and as you get data back from these different places, and everybody has something else to tell you that you may not be able to see as a human being, because every individual is different, right? So we started getting this data about varieties from Malana, and something struck to me as a theme that there are certain plants within this population, and they're not even that rare, that don't contain much of THC, because some of the people told me that they grew one of the plants which looked absolutely caked up in resin, but when you smoke it, you just don't get high like you should, right? So that tells you that if the resin gland is there has to be another cannabinoid in it, right? If it's not THC, because if they were full of THC, then you would feel something.
Right.
But if you don't feel something, you're still seeing resin on there. That means they contain a different cannabinoid, maybe, that's not psychoactive in nature. And, the second most abundant is CBD. But then, you can't just make that assumption. And then comes this test that comes from Europe. One of the guys who took a sample of, Malana charas over there, and he got it tested. And what he found out, and you have to first of all understand before we get to the test, that when we speak about charas from Malana, it's not from a single plant. You already have to understand it's an amalgamation of, randomly, maybe 30, 40 random plants. So
it's a perfect test.
Yeah, so
it's literally the perfect test. It's literally like exactly what
Yeah.
they would do in a lab, though. They would want to take together as much as they could to get a general idea, because if you're doing it from one plant, then it doesn't really tell you much, right? It tells you that plant.
Right.
But the fact that they're actually testing lots of plants, I think it's awesome. And that 50-50 is exactly where nature would want to put it, right? That's like the perfect balance, in my opinion.
I don't know. If that's something that nature would do on its own or something of that sort. But it just seemed there were like two different populations, which were crossed together at some point in the past, and then you just see the distribution of the chemotypes. That certain plants go on to have more of THC. Inclined towards, having more THC, and then you have some plants that incline towards having more of CBD, and then you have this, a good proportion of plant in between. You have this corridor where you have a haphazard mix of, THC and CBD in various proportions. But yes, if it's not done intentionally by human beings, then things would sort itself out in that way, that you will clearly see, parentage, the male parentage, the female parentage, and you will also see the intermediate type product, and we see that very often, and not just in terms of chemotypes, that someone has see a certain CBD to THC ratio, because we're not really able to get a lot of tests in, like I said. So you could also see that in a phenotypic manner. You go to Afghanistan, you go to places like Andhra, for that matter. So what Andhra region really is it's at the foothills of the Hindu Kush. So it connects with the flatland territories, and it also connects with the mountainous regions. So what you see is like an influx of pollen from the mountainous region that's coming down towards the flatland areas, and the population, the cannabis population, which are seen around the foothills, they seem to have these three different plants. One that looks very much like the flatland, the plants that grows in the flatland territories, with very broad leaves and like really squatty, they're just designed to hold all its moisture in itself. And then you also see plants, which look more like, that they've been adapted to a highland sort of region, and they're just like more sparsely growing, and they have these other features which are distinctly different from the ones that come from flatland. And then you see an intermediate type. You just don't see one. Of course you see a variety of plants, but you can categorize, you can definitely see that there's been a very clear interaction between these two very different looking plants, and then there's a intermediate population that has come up, where you have these different aspects coming into the progeny from both sides. So and again, those people are not really selecting plants in a way as you would look at it in a country like America. So you could say to a great extent that they're letting the nature take its course as far as the selection part is concerned. So that just, you see how plant populations figure themselves out. I mean, there's I strongly feel that there is a pattern in how these things happen. I mean, how the distribution of certain genotype happens amongst, the characteristic happens amongst the population. But we just don't know what exactly that is.
It's definitely the way to do it, though. I mean, like open pollination is where all the magic kind of happens. Same with primordial plants, like you were talking about. I mean, to me, that's where all the there's literally things there that are just waiting. You know what I mean? They have to be pulled out. And for instance, if you did have access to a lab, not that it's the way. I mean, it's great if you go by people's actual effects and figuring it out. But it's interesting too, because the fact that there's a lot of CBD also means, from a medicinal quality, like people aren't expecting, super high THC, no CBD. They're kind of like looking for the combination of the naturally being anti-inflammatory, for instance, without even knowing what's going on. They're just feeling better, right? So they're going to gravitate towards that particular. They're going to gravitate towards that particular plant, which is kind of what happened in like Jamaica, for instance, which didn't really have a landrace because everything was brought there from somewhere, But they did have a style, you know what I mean? But it was also plants that grew like 2 feet tall and flowered right away, and they grew them inside of tires and shit. Like, so it wasn't like scientifically like a high quality way of growing, but it wasn't also growing wild in fields as much as like I'm sure in places up there. But the locals ended up selecting a lot of high CBD strains because a lot of them just made teas out of it and things like that. And so I don't think THC translates as well into like a tea as a CBD probably would. You know what I mean? Do you find that it kind of goes, like when you're saying nature runs its course, do you think that that's also the way that a lot of the locals kind of work their stuff too? Like if something works, they're going to maybe collect something from it, or at least take notice of that? Or is there just a lot of percentage?
Yeah, I mean, just think about it in a very practical way. I mean, CBD is one of the cannabinoids which is not subjectively felt. I mean, you can't smoke a joint that has some THC and CBD in it and tell, okay, it has this much CBD or it has CBD. You can't know for sure. It's not subjectively felt. So it's something that needs to be tested, and you have to know it beforehand that it contains that. Or I'm sorry, another way of doing that would be if the plant only has CBD. So like I said, you look at a plant that is caked in resin and you smoke it, you don't feel anything subjectively, and you could conclude that maybe it contains the second most abundantly found cannabinoid in the cannabis, and then you can get a subsequent test and see whether or not that's correct. Mm-hmm. But like you said, in Jamaica, I mean that's a great cause and effect that you provided for how they would have ended up with most of the CBD plants, because they must be looking for milder and milder plants, because of course when you're cooking down cannabis, when you're cooking down THC, it just has a whole different effect when you're consuming it by drinking or eating.
Yeah, that also I think they like to smoke all day long, right? Like their whole thing is it's not about getting like super high off a tiny joint or doing a couple bong hits, like totally. That's that's like typical white guy, like young kid doing 50 bong hits in a row. I mean, they'd be like, "You're crazy," but they want to smoke all day, giant joints. You know what I mean? So in a way, I think CBD kind of lends that, right? It's kind of they just maybe did it off of figuring it out, which is always the best way. It's like when you have something that everybody likes, is better than something that you like, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create something for everybody, right? And that's usually the case when it comes to those kind of situations where, you know, you end up with a big pile of something and you ran out of something else. Well, you shouldn't probably do the thing that you have a big pile of again, right? You should probably stick to the other one. And that's how common sense / just letting it kind of do it, literally run its course at that point. Is there any are people realizing though that what they have is special enough that they're not only doing what we're doing, which is always looking outside of what you don't have, right? Like over here, no one's ever satisfied. That's the difference. You got to imagine Americans are the worst. We'll never be satisfied. We'll always want more. We'll always want something different. But I think we've infected everybody with that sort of virus, which is a different one, but the one of just like wanting to consume more and have the latest, greatest of the, you know, whatever Kardashian bullshit. Is it kind of happening? Is it happening like, is it happening like that over there too, where people are looking at it like they only want what we have and don't realize that they're sitting on a gold mine of like genetics and things.
I mean, I think it's something more human than being an American. I think it has to do more with being, you know, a human being and the way we are. I mean, the enterprise of curiosity, I think, is, you know, such a common thing amongst each one of us, you know, be it an Indian, an American, or a Britisher, or a German, for example, right? Mm-hmm. In America, what I see, you know, what I really like, and I see it in, actually in a positive light, that they're like this ultra curious about things, and they just want to, you know, get hold of things and, you know, figure it out, and then they want to push it to its limit, which is great. I mean, which is why you have, you know, the best hybrids of cannabis coming from that country. I mean, it can't be a coincidence, right? So, I mean, that way it's just fantastic. You know, that curiosity, you know, begets good things for the society in a way. But yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. I actually have a question. I've been sorry.
No,
I've
you're
been
not
quiet
allowed
for
to
so long.
talk. You're not allowed to talk. No.
So have you found a strain that really is an Indian varietal that somebody is taking credit for here in the States, is calling it some next great, you know, like, and you smoked it and you're like, oh my gosh, we've been cultivating that here for years. I can't believe somebody is calling it a new strain where you guys are in Boulder. Anything like that?
No, I wouldn't say that, because, and for a very simple reason, because when you smoke hybridized cannabis, you know, one of the things he already said, Adam, that what hybrid varieties have done is that they have brought all the best features from a large population and put them into like one single plant. Right, and you can pop like as many as only 2 plants, and you can still be you'll still be able to find plants which have all the desirable qualities in them. Maybe if you grew like 10 of those, you might see relative difference amongst, you know, the females, and you could say, you know, 5 of them are not that good and 2 of these are good. But if you take that, you know, and you map it against like a landrace population, I'm not trying to say you can't find plants as good as those in landraces, but they will be very rare, and those qualities would be, you know, found in different plants. Like you'll find a great smell in a different plant, you'll find a great yield in a different plant, and yeah, it's just really rare. You see a plant, you know, that just has all of it, going right for itself. And the hybridized cannabis has just done that, you know, that people no longer has to, you know, grow 1,000 plants. You can just, you know, grow a few plants and you can still have them. Of course, you know, a lot of, you know, taste and flavor and, you know, the way it makes you feel sometimes makes you reminiscent of, you know, a lot of different varieties that we've had in pure form. But still, we can definitely see, you know, that there's a lot of work that has gone into these, even if, you know, some of those plants are simply selections from, you know, the landrace populations. They're not even like crossed to something. You know, I know a lot of plants that at least people say that they are what they are. And then, you know, you have, of course, you have hybrid varieties. You have people, you know, who have, you know, crossed Southeast Asians with Afghans, and they have, of course, they have the right idea to, you know, cross to, you know, genetically distant, you know, plants, and then create like the more superior one. Like you take an African child and you take a child from, let's say,
make sure you don't get
India
caught taking those
or-
kids. Maybe we get in trouble.
You
grabbing
cross
kids.
them.
You'd be grabbing kids from everywhere.
No, I'm just trying to give an example. That if you cross them, if they have a child, it's going to be way more superior, and something you see in America, because in America you have so many different races, ethnicities,
we got a lot of back crosses that just kind of fucked everything up.
Yeah, and you don't have that, and you don't have caste system and all that sort of stupid stuff. That you can't marry this and that, and you just see Africans marrying Asians, and the kids are just super smart because it's just the better pattern heterosis. If you're going to cross genetics from two ends of the spectrum, the progeny is just going to be so much superior than both of the parents.
Before you came on, before you actually jumped on, we were talking about the fact that there's so much bottleneck here in America that you don't really have any true F1s, and it's really hard for people to get that. Like, most people think they're doing something special, but the reality is there's some, if you go back just a few generations, you realize like they both have the same, sour diesel in common, or the same Kush in common, or something like that. And so there's very rarely do you find stuff, whereas, you take two extremes, and that is where all the magic happens on that first generation. Because after that, it's all just deciding whether you want to continue, which direction you want to go from that original cross. But that's where the decision making goes. You can go forwards, backwards, side to side, do whatever you want to do, but you can't do. It's very hard if you take two things that are unknown. You get stuff. I mean, it's funny though, because I say that, and everybody who's kind of like trying to do things along those lines, it's really hard to do. And there's other people who don't give a shit, and they're just taking whatever and putting it with whatever, and they're coming out with some great stuff because there's a lot of homework that's been done in between, but they don't have. But there's no way to go back and really figure out what you did or know what you did, because there's so much pre-work that's been done. I think that's where it's going to be interesting from what you've collected. I think that's what people are going to get the most benefit, because they're going to have a chance to take what they've already got, which might have a lot of questionable things in there, but at the end of the day, they know what they have because they've grown it over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Then they take a male from what you have and they add to the mix, and then everything that happens from that point on is coming from, the first generation is going to be a 50% pretty much contribution from what you're bringing to the table, or what your male is bringing to the table, and then they can really sort of learn pretty fast, I think, because there's a lot of it may not be very easy, because I've had a lot of problems in the past. I think I grew, the only Indian stuff that I can remember growing was a Kerala skunk from Sam Skunkman back in the day, and it was actually the best. It was the most stony plant. It was the one that got me the most high, had the most trippy kind of effect. I almost thought I never had it tested or anything because it was a long time ago, but it felt a little bit like a THCV kind of effect. Do you know if there's any of that kind of that region? Is there any kind of known? Have you seen it, or have you heard about that, or does anybody really even go that kind of deep into it?
We actually, did a test on one of the varieties not so long ago. A few months back. And when we tested like 7 or 8 samples at random, all of them had THCV in them. Mm-hmm. There were some plants which had as high as 1%. I mean, when I say as high as 1%, I hope we're on the same page that it's something which is really hard to come by, even in like smaller percentages, right? Sure. So almost every plant seemed to have that, and this is a variety that comes from Pakistan. It's not really a long flowering variety, but it's just a very isolated, place, and the cannabis population just had to be isolated for a very, very long time, and has to have adapted, into something, which I can say for sure, that the cannabis, the modern cannabis gene pool doesn't have any of that until now.
Would it be, since you're really good at latitudes, I've noticed you're like definitely on point. Like he knows exactly where is what. So South Africa, would it be similar on the opposite sort of way? Because
exactly,
it seems to be where all the THCV stuff, kind of like the Durban and all those varieties, seem to be the ones that are the go-to THCV kind of region. You know what I mean? When you think about it, like, it's from South Africa. So would that be kind of about the same, but just in the opposite, or?
Okay, so I mean, I don't know if there are varieties from South Africa or like Africa which have THCV in them.
No,
so
they are. There
I'm
are
not
no,
like
no, there are
readily
a lot. There are a lot.
cognizant of that.
There are a lot
Okay,
actually. So
that's
that's
great.
been tested. So that's kind of like something that's known amongst most because it's been tested a lot, and it seems to be like the Durban poison seems to be the kind of strain that everybody focuses on when they think of that. And then there is a lot from that region that seem to have that. And so I'm just thinking it might be something to do with the terroir and the sun, the angle of the sun to the plant, and who knows? It just might because it might just be a reaction like we were talking about earlier to the harshness of the conditions, and it might just to me it seems like if it's a band, you know what I mean? It might just be that same. Just flip it over, and it might be right at the same zone. I don't know. I'm just throwing stupid ideas out there, but
no, it's actually it makes sense because see, we don't know for sure what it is because there's just so many things that play at the same time. That you just can't say, and someone who says he knows for sure, then you already know he doesn't, right? So
Right.
of course there are parts of there are things which are like pretty apparent, like you could see the size of the leaves, or you could see if it has an open or a very close structure, and then they would directly correlate to a certain climatic condition, like for example, if it's growing in a very wet area, you would usually see plants which are very sparsely held when it comes to internodes, and there's a lot of space for the air to like pass by, not really get accumulated. Go to Afghanistan, you go to a dry region where there's zero rain, and the plant just grows in a way that it tucks itself to the ground and try to keep all the humidity inside, and you could see this adaptation amongst like even other species of plant. You go to a place like Tibet, you could see there's a plant species called like rock jasmine. Right, so it's a wild version of jasmine, and the way it grows, it doesn't really grows in a spindly way like the jasmine would grow. Mm-hmm. It grows in a very like cluster-like form, and it just makes like an umbrella so that it can keep all the moisture intact. That place being such a bone dry place, and then there are varieties in that same valley. What these varieties do is towards the night they would exude all the water out of their leaves. Because it gets so cold in the night that if there's water inside the leaf tissues, it's going to freeze over and it's going to damage it. So the plant has a built-in mechanism where it can voluntarily take out the water out and keep it on the cuticle or the surface of the leaf for the entire night, so that it's safe when it's like really cold. But then it gets and when it is morning and the sun starts beating, because that water would have melted on the surface of the leaf. It just melts. So I'm sorry, it would have frozen over during the night over the surface of the leaf.
Yeah.
As the sun beats down on it, it just melts, and the leaf just takes it back. Wow, I mean, most people.
It's like those frogs that die every day.
I know people who are not that smart. So right, we know nothing about plants is what I'm trying to say here. Basically, there's just so little that we understand, but. Yeah, there are things which are like very apparent to certain populations, like we speak about, flowering term that, you go to a place where...
Would it be interesting to like take a plant like that and then put it into like a totally different condition and see what the hell would happen to it? It would be like, couldn't, because they'd be so used to having freezing temperatures. Like what happens when it's not in freezing temperatures? It would be... in just a few generations, that would be possibly not a few generations, but give it a little while, and that may if it survives whatever makes it through, could quickly.
Well, some plants will. I'm sure. I mean that's one of the reasons the cannabis is in so many places when it only started out at a very specific environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it started in an environment like Tibet or somewhere like it's really cold and harsh. But now you see those plants could be found in near equator. Those plants could be found, just about everywhere else in the desert-like terrains and the flatlands. And the reason behind that is just what you said here. I mean, if you take like enough plants in a place which is like entirely different from where they came from, few plants will go on to survive and they will go on to make seed. Yeah. But what you would see is that the ones which do survive have something, distinctly different from the rest of the population.
Sure.
And basically that is the reference point, from everything will skew off into a different genetic tangent, and whatever population that happens to adapt over time, it will have those features, or maybe those features would become even more prominent, as in the plant would begin to express in itself in a different way, so that it can mitigate whatever risks are there which are not letting the 90% of the population survive in that area.
It's like I always look for mutations in my any population. If I find a mutation, I'm always kind of focused on that, just as a potential donor to the world of weirdness. You know what I mean? Oh, this thing could do something, but usually they don't. I mean, 90% of the time, or even more, they don't do better than the rest. They or don't have a real reason to be kept around. But it's either a double stem or a flat stem or something weird. I'll be like, oh, let's try. This is gonna be interesting. But I find that cannabis is probably one of the most quickly adapting plants. That's for sure. It definitely adapts to its environment in instant. In a whenever given time it will. You can lay it on its side, it'll flip back up, or put cut it down the middle, it'll heal both ways, and both will grow. I mean, there's definitely pretty easy to manipulate plant in that sense. Is there any as far as hash going, because I mean, producing hash, I think now is becoming a real thing in America, right? It wasn't a thing before. Yeah. We never had anybody, and I think there's so much to learn. That's one thing I definitely think we have so much to learn, because the problem is most people here when they produce hash, it's either bubble. Most of it's going to be bubble hash, because that seems to be the easiest process for people, right? Which is water separation. But that's kind of to me, it's I think dry sieve is the most long. It's definitely the best way to make it stay the longest. Is there anybody who because I know water hash is not really traditional at all anywhere except for, or is it? I mean, is there any place that that was kind of?
Oh no, I don't think so. Not that I've seen that some traditional place using river water and some sort of bag or fabric that we could date back to a very old time.
Yeah,
or not just really.
I mean, because I've heard. I mean, I have now, because everybody understands the concept, and I've seen people in Nepal and places like that take the concept and put stand it on his head in a sense of out in the field, finding a stream and just running water through the stuff. But that's all from the new. That's all from. People seeing what new techniques.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you could just see, you could find imprints of, what happened somewhere in their language. So when you go to Nepal, you speak to someone, who are using dry sieving method, or, who's using, water extraction, bubble hash. So what they call it is, they call it, what do you call it? The pollen hash. They would call it pollen hash. I mean, it's not pollen, of course.
No.
But that tells you something. That tells me that whoever taught these people about this thing has to be a person somewhere from Europe. Has to be people from Europe, because that's a term which is widely used in Europe, because they had been getting a lot of Moroccan hash, and it was just one of those terms that went around, pollen hash.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's also funny how they spell it. It's also funny how they spell it POLM though now, so it's like pollen.
Yeah.
And then you're like pollen. Okay, so now I'm getting real confused. Which one is it?
Yeah. So, anyways, what I'm trying to say is that basically, when you speak to those people, not just the techniques, you just by the words that they have outright borrowed from a certain culture, you can understand where it came from. I mean, just by and large. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think water extraction is largely, a Western thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there was times where people were telling me, "Oh no, they did some back in Afghanistan." I was like, "I really don't think so."
No.
I think they did I think I remember Afghanistan using hot water on the presses to keep the stuff going, when they were doing lots and lots of. So they'd pour hot water over there while they had the thing on, or would do something like that to kind of keep it. Mm-hmm. But that's about it. So and I was saying before, I think that America. Most people here, unless they've gone to Europe or to the hash producing regions, they haven't really experienced, good quality imported hash. Like Holland was always crazy because to me, that was like the, here's a country that has all this imported hash. And you go to certain shops and you just be like, definitely 90% of it was real. There was definitely some people who were repressing stuff and making fake temple balls or whatever. They were getting it in one form and it was coming out in 5 other forms. But do you find like I think everybody always thinks about when they think about like temple balls and that kind of hash, they're always thinking of the original so-called opiated hash, right? Which is usually mold or something like that growing in the hash. They could kind of keep selling it, right? That white stuff, that's opium, right? That's but do you guys see is there still? I mean, how are those families surviving on that? Because I mean, I think that the whole world has closed up now, even tighter. Is it getting like super hard for them to get those things out of the country and things like I know Holland obviously still goes, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Nepal, I mean, not much is now, going out. I mean, of course, during 70s, the great period of, hash and cannabis that they had over there. I mean, they just had like shops there. I'm sure you would have seen a picture or two of like an official bhang shop, and you see a couple of hippies just, going into the shop and basically sifting through whatever hash they want to buy. But it has certainly changed. I mean, because, these Asian countries have been keeping up with the time as the time's been changing. But apart from that, there has been a lot of pressure from the European Union on suppressing the cannabis in the Asian countries.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I will not get into the political reasons because they just never seem to end, but you get the picture. So, of course, it's not the same as it used to be. But when we talk about Pakistan, Afghanistan, I mean, those places more or less have, they're still the beacon of hope, you could say, for people in, Western countries, that they can still get hold of traditionally processed hash. And this might be like our last stand, in these places. Mm-hmm. So who knows how things get panned out, So it's there now.
Well, yeah, it's a combination of that, and also, what do you think about the opium production as far as that taking obviously that took a big hit on a lot of the cannabis growers who either didn't have a choice or not. Or how is that getting better or?
So it's different for different regions. I mean, if you talk about Pakistan, I mean it's a big no-no. They don't want people to do it. Or you go to places like Balochistan, there's just little to no law over there. I mean, they just seem to have any hold on that place in terms of law and order. So those people are growing poppies as they would, and I don't really know what happens after that, who it goes to, and all that stuff. But yes, they're definitely growing a lot of it. But when you go to Afghanistan, and then it's just a whole different place, and the things are being done differently as well. So in northern region, you don't see that much of it again, because of the prevalence of I mean, it just government is there, and it's under the Afghan government, so they can foresee these things, whether or not somebody's growing opium illegally. And of course there are designated farms out there as well, from where a lot of it is set out. I'm pretty sure you're already aware of that. And you go to like provinces like southern provinces, in around like Taliban, infected areas, if you would want to call it that, and they seem to have maybe the most prolific poppy cultivation out there, because that's like basically their number one crop, and then cannabis is second.
Right. I mean, it's sad because it's like at the end of the day, they could be getting so much more out of the cannabis if they're growing it. Because I think you do have a lot of people traditionally still growing like kind of multi-use plants there, right? Where they're using, maybe not growing the highest quality cannabis, but more to use it for everything as far as like building, like living, using the stems and seeds and everything, right? I mean, that's kind of still traditionally, there's enough of that going on, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of that is happening But again, I mean, if a good enough incentive is not there, then after a certain point, that out of self-preservation, and this doesn't need to be connected with that these people are supposed to keep these genetics safe, but you have to think about personal preservation of a human being. He will always do things which are important to preserve him, his family, and the people they love. So if at certain point let's say they don't think that cannabis is a viable crop for them because it's so many people are growing it, it's in a lot of abundance, and it's just not getting the right price that they never get, they might shift on to other crops that may be able to help them eat better and stay better. So I mean, purely out of these reasons as well, I mean, you'll see changes time to time, but and that's the great thing in America, and even in countries like Europe, a lot of countries in Europe, that if there's an innovation, it is celebrated, it is rewarded, it's incentivized. So I'll give you an example. If you're selling buds, you're getting a certain price. If you're selling concentrates, you're getting a higher price. And if you're selling a concentrate which has been statically cleaned, or it's some butter or something, it looks fancy, that it gets even more money. I mean, you get more money for that, right? So there's an incentive for actually innovating and doing something new, compared to a place like Afghanistan, where if you innovate and you create something new, nobody's going to be able to pay you more money. They might just say, wow, this is good, it looks different, but you're not going to be able to get more money for that thing. Mm-hmm. So it just deters, in a way, it just deters the innovation. But at the same time, you could also look at it in a different way. I mean, and that is, it helps in preserving the very rudimentary aspects of a culture. Had they have all these access, and had they have been incentivized in a way that they should have been, properly, they would have already, doing something, which is happening in America just now, like they're extracting oil and that sort of stuff. And when you go to your like northern provinces of Afghanistan, you do see, people have now come to a point where they're extracting oil from hash. Because, again, northern part of Afghanistan still get like somewhat, tourism, and, there's still, the economy is a little better. And, they do have money in the system that could be spent. There are some people who might even be, ready to pay a little extra if things are done in a better way. Like I said before, that about the static clean hash, that they would make it, as much as they could, but you just wouldn't sell it. They just won't ever get the incentive for it, man. So
right.
It just
well, I mean, I think the market's, it's kind of like the it's funny because in the States, people haven't realized, as a grower, like from a grower's point of view, everybody here grows 8 or 9 week strains because they're all they want turnover, right? They want to be able to flip those crops over, go bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the strains, like when people hear the Landrace, they go, 17 week, 16 week, even 12 week, whatever. Any of those things are way over there. Like there's almost a crop and a half or 2 crops from their normal thing, right?
Yeah.
But like for instance, in Amsterdam, people were smart enough over the years to realize, like, wait a minute, I could do 3 crops a year instead of 5 crops a year. That's good. That's like less work, because they were just looking at it from like straight up from the amount of work they had to do per year, and then the amount of yield they would get, and then but of course they had to adjust the price because you couldn't get the same price. And over there they figured out, it's pretty simple. You got a 8-week strain, you'll pay you this price. You got a 10-week strain, we'll pay you this price. You got a 12-week strain, we'll pay you this price. And if you had like a Neville's Haze, which was like a 14, I think the most people would probably go, it's about 14 weeks, right? But they would pay double of what they would pay for a 7-week, or close to double of what of an 8-week. So it made a lot of sense. And then people would do it. But in the States, it's very hard to get people to see that. It's pretty much like it's all about the hype, right? Everyone's all hype, and they'll pay a lot of money for the hype, but they don't necessarily think about the weeks. And so I think maybe in the near future, especially when people are doing their books for their company and they're looking at their crazy grower who decided to do a 12-week strain, and they're smart enough to say, we're going to charge double for that, because, and then people like it, they'll realize like, hey, it's a smart thing to do. But I think it's going to happen in the near It's going to happen in the near future because people have the ability to do it. It's just a matter of now it's the growers convincing the money guys that is like, hey, we need to dedicate a certain room just to those long flowering plants, right? So I think in the near future we're going to have a lot more interest for people who want to know who want these strains. Okay. Well, anyway, James is too tired to call. But I wanted to go over a couple of the strains that you were going to be launching with James, because originally I told him to drop in and join us, but he's too stoned, he said. But you did was it 6 regions and more strains, or was there 6 strains? What was the drop that you had going on?
I think it was like 4. I had 4 different provinces and 6 different districts. And then like 10 different farms.
Okay.
So, and the good thing about the project was, that
is this the Durand Line? Is this the Durand Line?
20? Yeah, Durand.
Okay, so that's the same one. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the Durand Line Project, and this is the great thing was we were able to go back to the exact same farms and document the plants. And it was really unfortunate, the weather, the climate, the weather took like a turn for the worse for these farmers. I mean, this year, and a lot of crops got destroyed because of that, but still, we were still able to cover a lot of plants, a lot of populations, which were still able to mitigate through that sort of marginal conditions. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it was it was quite extensive project, and we tried to get basically the most diverse sample of genetics from the southern provinces of Pakistan. It's you just don't have people going on to that region nowadays, and obviously because of the reasons which everybody understands. But it was important, it was needed to be done, and I'm looking forward to releasing it through some of the seed banks as well, like with James, that we'd like to release that. And then we have like another project coming up, which is basically is gonna be like one of the most awaited project as far as I'm concerned, because I've been working on this project for 5 years, and this would be coming from the northwest Himalayas of India. So it'll be all 3 Himalayan states of India, and some part of Nepal as well that we have covered. And we're basically going to put down all the findings that we have from last 5 years into sort of a book, and and all the media that corresponds to it. And we're just gonna add a variety of packs so that people can just get hold of the book, and then can also get variety of packs, and then
nice.
Not just grow them, really, get all of that 5 years worth of experience that we have. Not trying to say, there's something great or, as other people can't have. But it's just that I'm lucky to be geographically, born here, and, have the ability to go out and document these things. And I would very much like to share it with other people, Yeah. And I'm sure amazing things will come out of it.
I mean, it's pretty cool if you think about where you are, and then you start to like look at it from like Google Earth mentality or something like that. It's just like it's the, one thing I was noticing is you have everything, because you're from the obvious school that we are of and from the Rob Clark school of there is no sativa or indica left in the world. It's just mostly hybrids, and there's a few extremes out there. But we're also talking about the thin, sort of narrow leaf drug variety, narrow leaf non-drug variety, or wide leaf. But you have a separate category, which is Highland, to explain altitude, because that's a huge difference too. Can you explain that just so people who look through your catalog kind of understand that one? And just that
absolutely. I'd love to. It's something that I've been working on for some time, and first of all, I came up with like one concept. It was an idea that we could categorize all the landrace varieties in a way that you would just by looking at the category, you would understand if it comes from a certain region that it would have certain certain characteristics. Which are just typical to those populations. So, for example, if we were speaking of like equatorial varieties. So anytime somebody is selling you, let's say, a Kerala Gold seed, or a seed that comes from an equatorial region, and he tells you that, it's gonna, flower in 8 weeks. Yeah, so you already understand, by the virtue of the classification that that's not possible. Either the person doesn't understand, or he doesn't know, or he's just, counting on that you don't know.
Right.
So, I just thought, there has to be a compass, which is not controlled by someone, something which is based on the universally accepted facts and not based on, someone's opinion. So if you go on, if you go on to like higher latitude region, you see that the plant tend to flower shorter, and it's something which is universal to those places. If a population is naturally adapted to a place where the climate is short outside, we already went over this. Like, the only plant that would go on to survive are the ones which are adapted to flower within that period of time. So that way, you could really categorize. If Afghanistan has a certain climate and it has a certain altitude and latitude, then some features would be typical to those places, and on the basis of that, you could really categorize all of these landrace varieties. So what I really found, one thing that I found I could use to create a distinction amongst these varieties was the flowering duration, the longer flowering varieties and the shorter flowering varieties. And because that characteristics corresponds so heavily to their latitude positioning and the altitude that they're growing in, it just becomes so easy for you to not just connect them, and also to pass that information on to other people, and then they can just like look at it and use it as a compass to buy seeds from anyone, to get hold of seeds from any place in the world, and they would know what they should be getting if they're getting genetics from this region, and they would know what they should be seeing should they be getting genetics from a different region. So it's sort of like a compass, and I've already documented everything on my website. So people want to read a little more extensively, they can of course go there and they can like read about it. I also hand out like little cards, that could be that you could carry along with you, and you could like use it. So it's very easy. I mean, again, it's not something that's difficult to look at. It's very simple. It's very simple, based on common sense and based on just natural facts, which are based around how Earth is positioned and how places on Earth undergo a certain rotation of climate and their lengths, and it just forces it just has this, what do you call that, selective pressure on the organisms which are present in that, or which are adapted to that region. So we just used that, basically exploited those things, and created a system that is not only intuitive but also holds up across the globe.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the hard thing. You never really know, because everywhere has its own unique microbe life, and there's plants have to adjust those things. And I always think it must be interesting from like a plant perspective. Like when I was in Holland producing seeds, I felt like, and then if somebody took them to California, for instance, those seeds were so lucky, because they could have been grown in Holland, which is miserable, and gray and rainy and shit, or they could grow in beautiful California, you know what I mean? And so in the certain regions like that, but then you got plants like, for instance, growing in beautiful places in India, and then you take them to like, fucking Missouri or something, and it's just like, whoa, what's going on here? And it takes total turn, it takes a while for those things to adapt. And I don't think indoors is really great for most landrace strains anyway, because there's never been occasionally you'll find some maybe high altitude, short squat plant that just sort of thrives in that condition. But for the most part, it's like a shock to the system for anything coming out. But it is good in a way from a breeder's point of view when you live in a shitty place, because you're just giving those seeds a better life. You know what I mean? It's like you're giving them a much nicer life. But for people who want to get in touch with you, besides, did you build a page yet on James's site for his breeder pages yet, or
no? I just got an email from I got an email from him like only 2 days ago. So
okay. Nice.
I went through it and I found it really exciting. That I thought, this is something that everyone should have. Because I think people who are buying those seeds, putting the resources behind them, they have a right to know a little more about breeders and
Well,
their work ethics and whatever.
I think I think it'll be exciting for you because I think a lot of breeders are going to also be excited to just look through what you've got going on and see some real potential collaborations there between the just between the genetics themselves. But again, like I think also what would be interesting, what I was thinking about was, you were saying before that it's like tough for a lot of these people who are producing, because I know from a farmer's point of view, the farmer always gets kicked in the nuts, right? I mean, that's pretty much the story internationally, no matter what it comes, whether you're a big time farmer making, growing massive amounts and looking like you're making lots of money, but you're still paying everybody. And by the end, you might not even be able to pay yourself, or the little farmer who's really getting fucking nailed. But would be really cool because you got a guy like you with boots on the ground. I mean, I would be super interested in if there was ever like something you ran across which was amazing and you thought this could be something like, and you want to convince them to do seeds like you were talking about, and that's a hard thing to do because they're looking at it from I can produce 100 grams of resin, why would I produce the seeds? Well, as well as I do that if somebody produces one or two decent plants from just for seed is more than enough number wise to justify that doing that, right? But I think it would be really cool to do like almost like help that village direct by doing a collab with you via them. You know what I mean? Like something where you, for instance, you found something super cool genetics, send them to me. I do something interesting, and then I donate, take half the proceeds and send them to you for that village. I think that'd be really, because that's what Bodhi does on a personal level, but it'd be nice from the fact that we can't, none of us can travel now, right? So we're all kind of stuck, not able to go and do even travel locally, or we could travel locally, but we can't travel definitely not going to be going to any regions that you'll be having access to. But it'd be really cool to take something from there. Just like, for instance, the Ethos, when I gave them those Moroccan seeds, I mean, that guy, I've been sitting on those seeds for over 10 years, maybe 10, 12 years. So I don't know where I got them. I mean, I know who I got them from, but I don't know the village I got them from. But it would be really dope to create a kind of like not adoption, but you know what I mean? Like help that village out direct with a certain strain and put them on the map. You know what I mean? So if you're ever down to do that, I'm down to do that to help you out or help them out or help whoever out. Cause I think that's a cool thing to think about. Cause it's just about connecting those dots, right? And it could be a little village over there and it could be some basement over here. And that combination is kind of wacky when you think about it, but it all can happen. I mean, that's how all these strains that are out there.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We still hear you.
Oh yeah, we hear you.
I'm sorry. I mean, we lost electricity here, so I had to.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I had to make some
How long were you gone? For like the past 20 minutes while Adam was talking?
I was jibber jabber the whole time.
He had a great soliloquy.
You like how I kept it rolling? Oh, see that? Yeah. Good thing I didn't let you talk, so I just kept going. Perfect.
I'm wondering if there's a collab possibility here where we could see like a Delhi sage or a sage Delhi or something like that in the near future. Where
goes straight for the puns, doesn't he?
Well, no, I mean, I come on, I could do far worse. I'm trying to keep it. I mean, but I can see a collab. I mean, you mentioned that there are regions in India that are very similar to the growing conditions here in Colorado. That it would seem that those would be the strains that you would attempt to cross with, I don't know, curry bubblegum.
Did you catch any?
Right?
Did you catch anything about what I was saying about doing a collab though, or no? You missed all that.
No, I mean it got disconnected. I just got in.
Okay, so my big long soliloquy, which I won't go over the entire thing, was that I think it'd be really cool if we could connect between, like, for instance, if you found some interesting genetics in a village that you thought would be a really cool, like, one to help out in the sense of like, okay, hey, we got a really easy to work with group here. They got some really interesting genetics. Bring those to somebody like myself or some other breeder, and then help do something with James. Bring it all full circle, and then get money back to those villages to help them out and really see some sort of results done quick, which would be cool. I mean, I was thinking it'd be since you got boots on the ground, you're there, none of us can travel. We're all kind of locked in our spot. None of us are going to be able to go into those places, and you probably shouldn't at this point in time. We should probably let everybody just take care, do their thing and not sort of think we're going to ramble around. But if that's ever a possibility, I'd love to make that happen for somebody,
Yeah, I mean, we have already, done something similar with like a couple of breeders, and I think this is one of the most wonderful things, and just about the thing that we would expect should be happening, because at the end of the day, like, we're not breeders, right? So we have access to genetics. Mm-hmm. We're just geographically blessed to be in a place where we could go and look at these plants, get all these understanding. And breeding is something that it takes time. It takes a living out of you, right? You have to be doing it for so many years. It's only then that you could really understand those fine differences amongst what's really good and what's not so good, right? That makes someone good or bad. So I think it has to be that way, because all of that expertise on the other side of the pond, which is like people like yourself and other great breeders, and then the people like us who have access to these genetics and are connected to other indigenous communities out here. So there has to be a collaboration that way, and I think that is basically the most efficient way, where everybody just does what they're good at. Mm-hmm. And I think the best outcomes always come out in a way that you have a team where everybody has a very clear cut understanding of their role, and they just do that so perfectly, and everybody just does their work, and the work always comes out beautiful. So I would actually love to connect after this. Yeah. And discuss some of the plants that we could possibly consider, and you could see, the other part. So I'm sure you'll figure it out, and we could get it out through James, of course. And the money could go back to one of these places. We already did a project like that for one of the Pakistani varieties, and whatever the money was generated, because those seeds came from someone who no longer does that. They were like raided, and their whole farm was like closed down and shut down years ago. So we couldn't go back and find those people to give them some money. But what we did is that we took like close to 80% off whatever came out of those seed sales, and as we speak, we're constructing a library in the Himalayas at around like 2,400 meters, and that's in my hometown. It's about like
exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's like could be done on multiple levels, which would be awesome, because it's like that's what it's all about right now these days, is especially with cannabis. If you can like get genetics from there that make something that improve, help us sort of improve our gene pool, which we need, because like we were saying at the beginning of the show, it's we may have some great genetics, but we don't have. There's plenty more out there, and I think people are going to appreciate more flavors and terps and all different types of cannabinoids that we don't even know about, because there's CBT now, which has hit the shelves, and everybody's all talking about that. It's like we're going to keep on going. It's not going to stop, and there's so much more out there. So it's kind of cool to know, there's a couple guys like you out there. Not many. There's not many, but they're out there. A few.
Yeah, and one of the good things about doing such collaboration is that you guys are sitting in a place where you could do it legally, and you just have that peace of mind. It's just like doing some official paperwork for you that you're gonna have no problem doing. There are no repercussions around the law, and you're not breaking the law, doing nothing wrong, absolutely. So I think that's exactly what needs to happen. What needs to happen is people who can do it with complete peace of mind, have the right kind of space, and have the resources to really do the kind of work that is required when you're using landrace varieties. Right. And those are the people who should be doing this, and people who are collecting them, they should just really focus on getting as many varieties they can, and or whatever resources that they are able to generate out of that, just take it back and give it back to those communities, so that you can make sure that there's a perfect balance, and there's a fairness across the board when it comes to trade on every level, and not just between two parties who understand how business works, because there are other people involved in it who don't necessarily understand how business works. So I've seen quite a lot of people who would just go to these people and just give them like $500,000 and take like millions of their seeds, and they would never actually tell them what their seeds worth, because that doesn't really help them. And I just find that highly offensive if people do that. I feel the right way to do it
or
is
they
just
don't know, or they don't even know. They just are just like, we're not telling you. Proprietary.
Oh no, you have to know. I mean, if you're like selling it for some dollars, you have to go back and tell people that this costs this much, and then you have to make them understand why it is so important. So see, there's an intrinsic value in paying back. It's not just the money that you're putting money in their hand. What you're doing is that you're connecting these psychological dots with these people, that hey, it's not just about the resin, it's also about the seed. That's also important. That is not just important, just as important as resin is. So that way they can really fully understand the value of their genetics. As of now, they just think, okay, the resin part of it is what's important, and the rest you could throw away. Maybe some places they make ropes, so they maybe use some fiber as well. But are they able to utilize those seeds to in a way that people in America or people in Europe are able to do? Like I just saw someone release a pack of like 15 seeds for $800, and not so many days ago, which was I mean, I don't want to comment on that. I'm sure they must have done something to deserve that. But what I'm trying to say here is that
does he wear a funny hat and a face mask or anything like that?
No,
I mean, whatever works at a certain place, I mean.
No, it wasn't even. His weren't even that expensive. That's
expensive.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the potential of those seeds is so much. I mean, if the right amount of work is done, and if you're poised, perfectly in a marketplace when you could do something like that. I mean, of course, don't sell 10, 15 seeds for $800 no matter what happens. Of course, that's just absolutely nuts, right? We can all agree on that. But
sounds like Gage Green.
$5 a seed, $7 a seed, $10 a seed, depending on how much work and how hard was it to get the seed, and how much of that is going to go to who. So that sort of economics, it could be figured out, but if we don't tell that to those people, those farmers about it, and I just go and give them like a pair of shoe, or like a solar panel, and take like millions of their seeds, that's just not right. And it's not right on two levels. One is that they're not getting compensated that they should. Ethically, it's wrong. And the second thing is that I'm depriving those people of a legitimate chance where they can organically understand that, hey, what, our seeds has a certain value, and they absolutely need to understand that if tomorrow something happened to their crop, the first thing that they would do is they would save the seeds, because they would know how important they are.
Oh yeah,
and another thing is,
I think at the end of the day, like on a scale like what you're talking about, where they would normally get like I would want it so that the seeds would be worth 10 times the amount on the weight, but they know they're never going to sell more than 2 kilos or something like that, because you don't ever want to like get people too pumped up and think they're going to sell tons, because at the end of the day, it's also like, as you've probably noticed, landrace growers are fewer than your average seed guy, and so there's going to be harder to sell, and you don't like want to ever promise too much. But if you came to somebody and gave them $5,000 for a kilo of seeds, they would think you were the man. You know what I mean? You would be like, "Oh my god!"
And I wouldn't do that either. I mean, because that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. That I could even just pay someone $100, and they will be just ecstatic because they don't get paid for seeds. We have to understand that. But you're just depriving them of two different opportunities. One is that you're not doing ethically the right things, right? And the second thing, which I find even more important, is that you have a legitimate opportunity to make them aware of how these seeds, are just way more important than any other part of the plant.
Yeah.
So you just can't, you just cannot deprive them of that opportunity. And what it's going to do is that if tomorrow some people go there with their hybridized seeds and they say, hey, you know what, use these and grow these and you're going to have like more production or whatever, they would actually have a very tangible and sound and logical, argument to let those people know that why they wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And why their seeds actually hold way more value. And, I never shy away in telling those people that, hey, look, your seeds are way more valuable than any other seeds in this world.
I mean, that would be
so
amazing.
That they know exactly.
That would be amazing if you actually had that. But I think, as you probably know too, is human nature is whatever shiny thing is close by, right? So people go like, people go like, "Ooh, wait a minute, I can get more for that."
Look, a butterfly.
They just like forget about it quickly, So it is hard to get people to see that. But it would be good, just like I would never want to hold anybody back. I would never tell anybody you have to keep it like this or else, because that makes it also like you're also limiting. Because the reality is, as a farmers' intentions are to do better every year, right? That's the whole point of being a farmer. And
that's the epiphany here, man. At one point, I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is that at one point, that you don't want the destruction of the landrace varieties that they have is so precious. And on the other hand, I don't want to suppress those people by telling them, hey, you just stick to these varieties and never think of, more productive varieties that exist in the world. So that's not correct, and it's an epiphany. You get stuck in that. Mm-hmm. So I think the best way is that you just educate them and let them decide for themselves what they want. But if they don't even know, what value their seeds hold, then they don't really have a fair chance to decide. Whatever they're going to decide will be coming from a place, where they didn't really have the fair amount of information about both of the genetics. Right. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you're spot on. The grass is greener on the other side. No matter who it is, it's an American, it's an Indian. We look at hybrid varieties and we think, oh, yeah, these are the best. I would pay $1,500 an ounce for that. Yeah. And someone in America might just pay a lot of money for hash, which is like traditionally produced. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So of course, the grass is green.
It is crazy to me because you don't see any hash in anywhere in America at all ever. Like nobody's taken that. I mean, occasionally maybe in the city, like in New York stuff, I've seen a few little bits and pieces. But for the it's like strange how America really held on to the whole flower culture. Like we're really very far and few between it, because everywhere else in the world is sort of taking it to the reality of like, you couldn't sit around and trim weed, you know what I mean, and it wouldn't store very well. It doesn't make any sense. But I think over the next few years, there'll be some pretty interesting opportunities. That would be awesome to see you come over to the States to see fields of cannabis grown legally and processed, on scale. Because, it's like, people over here are creating the whole market as it goes along, right? So they're like building it as it goes, and so they don't really ever get a chance to compare it to much. But I think you'd have the rare insight to be able to compare it to traditional grown or wild grown, which is even more cool. Because soon I hope in America at some point, like 20 years from now, because so much has grown and got a little bit escaped here and kind of got over, decided to just kind of hang out over here, which is sort of, we do have those things. We have stuff that's from the 40s and 30s and earlier that's still here, that has managed to kind of stay wild and no help from anybody, just kind of for the last 75, 80 years, just kind of kept going. But, none of that was selected for THC. Obviously, it was all old rope material. But in general, maybe in 20 years from now, there'll be wild THC that's actually happening here. Who knows? So we have to wrap it up in a minute. But it was definitely like super cool to talk. I know I also woke you up from slumber, so I hope you remember when you wake up, like you actually did an interview. Be like, Was that a dream? Did that really happen?
Oh no, I was actually sitting in a different interview before this.
Oh, you were? Okay, I thought,
There was
okay. Yeah, doubled up.
someone from a different country, and it was about something else. But we just had an interview. But yeah, about that thing, the 420 thing, that really got me because I kind of assumed because there was no AM and PM written, as far as like hours.
Yeah, I was like, well, it would have been a weird show if I started at 4:20 in the morning, but you never know. Actually, we're going to be doing okay. So for 4:20 this year, which we definitely normally do anyway, is get a lot of guests to come back on. So for 4:20, we should definitely get you on. We're going to be we're doing a 24-hour show, so we have plenty of opportunities. No matter what time of day. So we could do a 4:20 in the morning show.
How would you host that like across 24 hours? Because are you going to change the host?
Oh no, of course not. It's going to be just me and Dave.
Okay.
Dave
and how would you?
Dave won't last.
You really think you're going to stick it out 24 hours without a break?
Yeah, I'm just like curious too.
I have no problems. No problems with that. I mean, I'll get up. I'll have somebody on for a little while, and I'll be able to get up and stretch and do some things. But no, I can do that. Come on, this is no problem.
All right.
24 hours. When I was a kid, when I was a little kid, I used to do that for fun. I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay up for as long as I can, which is about, I think when I was a little kid, I could do about 2 days straight, and then I was flopped, but so whatever.
Me, dude.
I'm well trained.
I can barely do it.
All right.
But yeah, we definitely should have you on again then.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see a lot of interest because I can looking at the chat gang and seeing everybody already looking at your site, and everybody's being very impressed because I mean that's again what it really comes down to, in my opinion, is it's all about diversity, right? And so cannabis, luckily, is a super diverse plant still. It may not be in a few years because it's funny. I think one of the things that you noticed is it's been like the really good strains, the ones that people are looking for, which I'm sure you've heard about the whole Roadkill Skunk search, right? I mean, it's everybody's freaking out about it. It's just because all that shit smelled so strong, it got people busted, is my opinion. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So all those people lost that thing, and all the stuff that wasn't so stinky kind of made it through. So if you have any mission out there, if you could find that, then you're the man. Like then everybody's going to be like, oh. Yeah. So
I mean, you could find plants like that. As a matter of fact, we did make one selection, like in southern Afghanistan, which is like basically spot on, like dead on, like dead meat, like the rotting protein sort of like smell, that you would get, sort of like sulfur dioxide sort of smell.
Perfect.
But I mean, would we be able to get that in seed form? I mean, how closely would people be able to, find that in seed form and then be able to, keep it and, breed it into consistently the seed form? Now that's going to be a whole different chapter. But yeah, we got the first part of the puzzle sorted. So now, we're just relying on the expertise of people like yourself to, propagate it and get it onto the hands of everyone.
There you go. So you got a mission now. You got a mish. We're all keeping an eye out for it. But definitely, I think you're going to see a lot of traction from this drop you just did. So I'm looking forward to it, and then we'll chat later about some ideas, some collabs between some people there, and yourself and me and whoever. And I think it sounds like a winner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody wins, and it's just the best kind of thing that can happen, and it just sort of speeds up the whole thing as well, which is
well, it's also really cool. It's also cool to like make those connections in a good way instead of like, bringing genetics to like I was saying, I mean, you definitely should have access to some of these hybrids, whatever you want, but at the same time, the real magic's going to be in all that stuff locked up around you, that in all these places, and that's what's so fun to even imagine getting involved in. So, looking forward to it. And your Instagram is Irrazin, and we've got it up on the screen, so I'm sure people have been checking that out too. Super fun. I mean, definitely subscribe to it, people, because it's super cool. Got great pictures and just cool storylines, and you can just see the diversity there, which is what I'm all excited about. So cool. Thank you for checking in with us, and we'll have you on at 420.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Peace out. Thanks.
Peace.
I love some of the comments. They all thought I was dead as I was sitting there, or it was some deep fake thing.
There was no bagel talk. You're like, where's the bagel?
No, he was great. That guy was fantastic. He's so smart, and it sounds like his library is just goes back millennia.
Just look at the pages, and you're like, oh shit, And the funny thing is of course, okay, well, he didn't quite catch what I was saying in the beginning, and I didn't really feel like making him drag the story out because it's already been told. You just got to go to the podcast. But he basically, how he always asks, what's the first time you smoked? So he said, couldn't really put that down as far as first time he smoked because it was kind of like, 13, 14, not really sure. Could have been this guy, could have been that guy. But what he did remember was being 7 years old and walking with a bunch of older guys who were like in their 20s, like early to mid 20s, and they would like have to walk up this hill and then to get water and then or down or something, walk down the hill and back up the hill, and they'd always on the way back because they had to carry all the water. His job was to rub all the plants, so he had to rub plants. And he's 7 years old, and so he was milking the plants, and they milked him. And so at the end, they basically made him like rub off the hash, and then the kids would go back and smoke it, roll a joint out of it or whatever. So it was like they were rubbing hash off a little 7-year-old's little gentle, little soft, little hands. And then he said something like you definitely got to listen to because I think he said that's like the kind of like the myth is it's better because it's off the little kid's hand. I was like that is the story right there. I need to have that. He didn't quite catch that, so definitely go listen to that one because it was cool. But he said like obviously he wasn't smoking then, but then later when he was older he did. But it was just kind of like that's how rampant it is. Like you just rub plants just on your way down to grab some water, and then you have enough just to make a joint. So it's all perfect. That's what life should be.
Nice.
Right on.
I don't know about the water part. You probably don't want to walk down to get water, but you definitely wouldn't mind just getting hash out your back porch, which is like our other friend Mark Rose, who lives out there in Nepal, and he literally like opens up the back door and there's wild plants growing there. He's like, I'm like that.
Damn.
That is the shit right there. Just go out and milk a couple plants. All right.
Oh, look,
friends.
Mark's got it up.
Oh, Mark, look at you.
Look at me.
I know, remembering and everything.
Remember everything.
Like we were just like, that's the end of the show, guys. Later, but ding, 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 ding. No way, man. The show goes on and on and on and on. We're just practicing for the 24-hour show, guys. Yeah. So you want to hang in there because we've got multiple new guests coming right after the shout-outs. So you got to stay right till the end of the shout-outs. Tons of guests. Go on and on.
See, Irrazin Dogs was like, hurry up to get to the sponsors. He
doesn't want to keep chatting because he wants to try to win this time, but he's going to be third again for
sure.
Out
of here.
Yeah, he's definitely third this time.
He's definitely third.
Turd.
He will be third.
He's the turdliest.
Yeah.
Focus V. Look at that. It's a nice
So you
site.
got to go to focusv.com, right? Nice or focusvproducts.com or on Instagram.
Laser edition.
And if you enter Done Deal, you will get 10% off, even your laser edition.
I need to get batteries too, extra, like just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, man.
Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, just ready to go.
But you can get the Done Deal on batteries, I'm pretty sure. So check them out. Listen, they're one of our newest sponsors. They sent us some really cool rigs. They make a great product. Go ahead and buy one. But if you do get one, tell us what you think of it because I've always enjoyed it since the beginning.
We're gonna get some new bits for him from our buddies at. Are we getting the ones from Chris? Isn't Chris making us some? Or what?
Yes, he's kind of backed up right now. I guess business is really good, so he will get a hold of that and take care of that for us, of course. And so then our next in rotation would be New Millennium Nutrients, which is, from what Adam tells me, the nutrients that he uses on his garden. I don't grow things, I kill things, but if I grew things, I would use New Millennium Nutrients. And right? I mean,
you would still kill things. Shit. You'd still kill things because you wouldn't read the instructions, and you would.
I'd put too much on.
Too much, not enough.
Yeah,
mixed it up wrong, did it backwards. Put it in backwards.
Probably.
Whatever you could fuck up.
Probably.
It's
you
okay,
can go back.
It's okay.
30.
But
30 years ago,
you
I
might
grew some
not.
nice
I think
plants.
this particular thing you may actually be able to do though, because it is that easy. But in general, no, they have everything kind of covered, and it's adjustable too, because you have so many elements, and you can also like things like the ruby fulvic. You can just take that one, and use it standalone. You can use the Winter Frost standalone. You can use Decision standalone. You can use most of the products like that. And they kind of self-explanatory. Lightning Start is your starts and clones. Autumn is later on in the season. So you're like, whoa, I'm actually paying attention to this shit. Look at it's the freaking weather.
The weather, man.
It's the weather, man. But yeah, definitely.
So go to newmillenniumnutrients.com.
Check out on checkout. Say you need some
Done deal.
Done deal action, and you can also just get like little pet packs from them too if you contact them and just kind of check that shit out. You can also go to
Medically Correct is our like choice for edible products here in Colorado, right? Medically Correct does True Pura, Keek, Nove chocolates, Clear Creek extracts, and of course Incredibles edibles. Which one? Keek, right? Quick.
I don't know.
Keek.
I don't know.
Keek.
Okay.
Go, keek.
Listen, they're great products. They're OG Colorado company.
Now we're talking.
Oh man.
And their gummies are fantastic.
What?
I'm just kidding.
What happened?
Nothing.
Canadians are going crazy now? What?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, shit. Great White North, bro.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
Incredible.
So True Pura,
Incredible.
truepura.com, and enter Done Deal at checkout. You'll get 20% off your order. They ship anywhere in the lower 48. I don't know if they go to Canada, but again, I'm a big fan of their tincture. So is my dog. It's helped with her little paw problem. So give them a try. Enter Done Deal at checkout. And, the only place you can get an actual discount on Incredibles edibles in the state that we know of is at Green Farms Med in Colorado Springs. And his cannabis keeps getting better and better. And I have it on good authority that if...
I just smoked a joint of it. It was I don't know what it was. It was a mixture of all those things.
It tasted good.
I call it Franken Green Farms Med, bud.
That was the one.
That's funny.
There was one seed. One seed.
Well, I've been saving them for Ed's project.
But it was a good seed because it burned forever. You notice that?
Yeah, right.
I did the old shooting out the side. I was like, all right, I'll just put that down right there. It looked like a steam. I was like, whoa. Don't mess it up. Just let it burn.
But listen, if you like rosin, they have this stuff called Country Fruit.
Oh my God.
I can't see it on there.
Fire.
They only have like 15 grams left. It's amazing. It's what I call narcotic dabbing. Mm-hmm. It is a full body experience, and
you can just tell by the quality of the resin when you're messing around with it. You're just like, damn, this shit's like serious. There's no messing. Like, it's not no crumble. Like, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's it right there. Great stuff. You have to ask for the Done Deal there. They will take very good care of you. JW's a great guy. His heart's in his business. And from what I'm hearing about his garden right now, and I wish I could go down there soon, 4 years, same soil. So it really tells something about how he's been controlling his environment and keeping his soil alive. And the beauty of it is he uses build-a-soil products. And again, another place I'm really looking forward to being able to go in the next couple of months. That company, if you follow their Instagram feed, it's just amazing. And all the people, everyone's always smiling. And they'll answer any question you have, especially if you want to know why.
They have Jeremy the Overlord watching them from over cameras above. And he's like, smile! Yelling at them. You didn't know that behind the scenes. Jeremy's yelling at everybody 24/7.
He's not yelling.
Whipping, cracking whips, telling everybody to hurry up, Snell. No, I don't.
Yeah, right.
No, come on.
Well, it's one of those old small world stories because
it's a small world.
Well, one of his employees, shout out to Reader, he actually grew up playing with Jonah, my son, and so you both in the industry after a long time. I guess the apples don't fall far from the tree, but free shipping in Colorado and New Mexico, any order over $500.
Yes, sir.
But they will deliver anywhere in the country, and I've heard stories that
and
they really
videos,
just do
if
load
you
up.
watch cool videos and watch the progression of their crops. They always have them up. They always put a new They'll put it up, the good, the bad, the ugly, doesn't matter. They'll tell you what's going on. They've had a few where I've been like, ooh, what's going on here? And it's like, well, there goes Jeremy, the learner. He's going to learn.
And every exotic mushroom you can think of, they have these. What is do you know what the medium is? The block they grow them in? But it just seems you just pick your mushroom. He's got a block for it, and you cultivate them at home.
Bagels, shredded bagels.
Good bagels.
Great company.
You shred the bagels, and then that's the best medium for sure.
855-877 soil. You gotta mention the Dunn deal, and they'll give you a discount. I think it's 10% or maybe a little more, depending on how much you're buying. But again, great company. It's where you should be spending your money on all of your gardening needs. And hey, Chris Hubbard, if you're listening, I'm so looking forward to the tops for these cartas right now, because I think it's just a great portable e-rig, and your glass has been just on point.
Make sure the hole's big enough,
On point.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying.
Listen to him. Make
Mark
sure
giving some critiques on how.
Come on, Rosin Dogs, work on that one.
Yeah, you can work with that one, Ross. That's good material right there.
Enough hole over here.
Jeez.
Jesus.
Well, what do you mean?
Christ.
Mark needs a bigger hole. Okay, he's a big guy.
Sorry.
So $8 a month. You go to patreon.com/HubbardGlass, and you can see his videos. $8 a video, that is. Or you can spend $80 a month, which is just not a lot right now, on some really good content. And after a few months, you're going to get yourself a nice glass piece sent to you. He's a great guy. He works with ChemDog in Massachusetts.
Heard of that guy?
So
you mean ChemDog?
You've heard of him. Yeah, ChemDog, yes.
You gotta always say
that's who I meant. Gotta say it twice. It's not the real one then.
ChemDog. Yeah.
So you go to patreon.com/HubbardGlass, and you can either buy an individual video or get on board for his monthly subscription. But he's really, really talented. And just tell him you heard about him here on the Adam Dunn Show. And coffee. Oh, I drank a little too much coffee. I was a little wired at the beginning of the show today.
Wow.
Coffee.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell.
So you go to ozocoffee.com.
I got yelled at. We don't have enough coffee in the house today. So my mom, she's like, you better bring some coffee back, and you did not deliver, so I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home because of you.
Well, maybe we can up our monthly supply if Rosin Dogs bought a little more for him and all of his friends.
All about Rosin Dogs.
Yeah. And listen, they make great 420 gifts. So
come up with a Rosin Dog fucking blend. At this point in time, right?
The rosin blend.
Rosin blend dog. The dog part might.
Ozocoffee.com. Enter Dunn deal at checkout. 20% off. I mean, you can't beat that. It's fantastic coffee. Roasted here in Boulder. Yep.
Yes.
And then if you happen to just wake up one morning and you're in Barcelona, you have to go over to Treasure.
You're like, oh, fuck. I can't get my Ozo on like I normally do. But I remember there's a spot called Treasure.
That's right.
Where I can go and they'll just take care of me. The door will open up. Boom. And it's like the Get Smart when it opens up, because it goes like, you expect a different thing and it goes, you're like, what? And then the next one goes different direction. And then you have to go through another door, and another door, and another door, and another door. That'd be cool. That'd actually be a pretty cool entrance for a dispensary or something like that, where you had to get through like Get Smart doors, like 6 or 7 doors. That'd be dope.
Yeah, but that would be kind of sketchy. You wouldn't be thinking you're going to buy grass. Yeah, but it's be like some powder shit.
No, it doesn't. Why would it be powder shit? It's just like
because it's all the doors, man.
You're going to see fucking Dr. Evil, is what it feels like when you're going in. And you're like, but then you're actually able to like man trap them in those spots. You know what I mean? Like as they come through the next spot, oh, man trap. Yeah.
But when they walk up to you after you get past the 7th door at Treasure,
they're pissed off.
They're going to say 30 euros for membership fee, and you're going to go, I need the Dunn deal. And they're going to go, there will be no euros for you.
You can enter, sir, and here's a joint.
Enter, sir.
Yeah, that's what they'll say. Yeah.
Fantastic weed, great hash, great place to hang out and have a joint. Mm-hmm. Treasure, Barcelona. Just tell your cab driver. They know how to get you there.
And just like that.
And if you wake up back up the next morning after being in Ozo and then being in Barcelona...
Luckily, you can control your dreams, and you ended up in your dreams at Treasure, but you woke up back home.
Denver.
In Denver.
Pueblo.
Started.
Colorado Springs. Apothecary Extracts.
Okay. Yeah.
What are you guys smoking right now?
I
am smoking.
I have cream cake batter.
Sour cookies.
Yeah.
Mine's on the other side of the room right now.
Sour cookies as well. And some GMO ambrosia. That's what I'm smoking on this week. I had some of their OG Sin rosin the other day because I have
Kimoji and
some bonus points to spend.
Wow, you got bonus points?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I go there every week, man, so I get bonus points. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Y'all don't be getting no bonus points. That's me.
No, we don't.
That's all me.
It's all you. Shitty.
So I'm sure we're
Shitty
talking
Jamie.
about
Only
just
Shitty
their
Jamie.
locations
That's right.
in Colorado.
Top. Look at him. He's all so pumped to be top chatter. It's crazy.
Dude.
Rosin Dogs, slow down, Rosin Dogs. You haven't won anything yet. Oh,
You're
yeah,
third,
look.
Rosin
done
Dogs.
deal. You
Don't
think
worry.
That's gonna win?
You can stop right now. You're going to be third.
You think you're
Okay.
still going to be third?
You're still going to be third.
Because other people
It's
are
not
just
going to
like,
happen.
Really? We'll just slip this one in without him noticing.
I'm expecting that we're going to be getting some of their information on their Oklahoma play and getting them into rotation here because I'm hearing really good things about what they're doing out there.
Well, what? Of course, they're doing good things.
Yeah.
Of course.
Everything
So you
was
gotta
same
ask for
except for
done
the
deal.
cowboy hat on. That's the only difference. Like, wow, they're working. I think
Go get that done
You got
deal.
to
you can't.
you got to
not
ask
be
for the
wearing-
done deal. $25, a gram of ambrosia, and an infused joint. So that's an afternoon or 20 minutes, depending on how you smoke.
not that
But
long.
head over to Apothecary Extracts. Tell them you heard
It's
about them
only
on the
good at
show.
the time, but it's all right.
And one of our newest sponsors, if you're a California patron and you enjoy really good extracts, you got to look at Papa's Select. Okay?
Have you ever watched on the old Saturday Night Live? You ever seen the Californian episodes? Those things they used to do back in like 7 years ago or something like that. It was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
There's like,
they were good.
Yeah, if you watch, there's
I know what
some.
you're talking
They do
about.
a whole like 1 hour like back to back every single episode they've ever done. It's pretty fucking funny. It's like it's the same thing every time. They do the same exact fucking. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
Anyway.
that's California in a nutshell right there. Just watch that. YouTube, Saturday Night Live, Californians, done deal.
Which has nothing to do with Papa's Select.
No,
But Papa's
they're in
Select
California.
is in California.
In California.
I mean, their extracts
Everywhere?
are
Are
fantastic.
they everywhere, north, south, everywhere, or are they just kind of like where they at? You know?
You know, I think we're gonna learn.
it out.
You would think I would know that, but I don't. And
Let's learn.
Mark has the
Oh, so we're
website up
getting
there.
done
So
deals. So there's done deals happening right now as we speak?
well, we will have that hopefully worked out by next Friday if we can arrange
If this
something
was only
like
war
that.
games, we would be winning right now.
Ooh, speaking of which, I'm going to be going to California in July.
What? You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, so
You're not
yeah.
allowed.
Wait, so what show aren't we doing in July then? What are you saying
the
right
one
now? Is
of
that how you
July
getting out of
4th.
work?
4th? No,
Yeah.
you can't miss
What?
the 4th of July.
No,
Yeah.
we're doing a
Hell
48-hour
yeah.
show on
That's
the
what's
4th.
happening. I'm going to be right there in Culver City getting some Papa
72-hour
Select.
show.
I like a 48-hour show on 4th of July, 48 hours. That's perfect. Let's do that.
Oh God, no!
You nailed it, dude. You nailed it. And then we'll do 72 hours like your friends do because we can do that.
That's like that.
Oh, look.
I'm
we
not
got a
gonna
winner.
say.
We got a winner coming in here. M1K3 is going after. He's fighting Rosin
Against the
Dogs
rules.
left and right. He's breaking all the
Rosin
rules.
Dogs, you're third. Just listen to me. You can stop chatting right now. You're going
Now
to
he's
be
doing
third.
full words.
There's
He's
nothing
doing
we
full
can do
words.
about
That's
it.
better. Full words are better than single like letters.
Right.
Full words are sort of acceptable. Not really.
So they're just making some really fantastic extracts. They're I guess their senior person right now. We were at the Emerald Cup or one of those events, and they tried to hand me a dab in this really small rig, like so right as they're handing it to me. And Boris says to me, "So, guess how much this rig costs?" And I don't know, maybe I'm just a doofus. I said $800, and he goes, "Add a 0." And I literally I wouldn't take the dab out of it. I think I'm going to have to just pass on that one. It's just not for me. I don't want to take a dab out of anything $8,000 and have you look at me after I fuck it up. But Papa Select concentrates.
Yeah, you got
fantastic company.
Hook me up with them when I go down there.
Yeah, we'll work out a done deal.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're in Colorado, you can get Numbnuts THC. I don't know where yet, but if you're anywhere in the country, you can get Numbnuts CBD. You go to numbnutsco.com, you enter done deal at checkout, and you get
Call
10% off your
get in touch with Numbnuts after the show. Tell them we need some fucking.
I'm messed up.
Oh, you went to 14er.
I know.
There you
settle
go.
You
down.
fucking numbnut. You.
Whatever, dude.
You fucking
Shitty Jamie.
numbnut. Shitty Jamie Numbnuts.
Whatever, dude.
It is fantastic peanut butter.
good-
They,
that's a
they
good-
I
also
like
have
the nuts, man. I think the nuts are
yes.
awesome.
The nuts were good, but
Yes.
they're a little bit weird
Whatever,
because well, not
dude.
weird, but they're like I just like straight peanut butter, man. I just want to.
I gotcha.
Because they didn't
Yeah.
have THC nuts at the time. They
No.
only had CBD nuts.
I
They
know.
will. They will
have-
soon.
So I'm straight up about THC.
Listen, that 1,000 milligram
dude.
tub of THC we have to have for the.
Oh no, we haven't.
Mel doesn't
The,
still doesn't have.
Aren't we
no
gonna have a
numb
much?
nuts.
I think we need more than that. We need a shitload.
We'll get some.
We need Mel to have some numb nuts. She
We need
never
like
had
a-
no numb nuts in her life.
She
She said it herself.
Hey.
I'm reading her.
Mark!
I'm reading the
She
chat.
has had some numb nuts.
Adam, jeez. Holy moly. Numbnutsco.com.
She's created numb nuts.
You get 10% off your order if you mention Done Deal. Okay. Thank you, Adam. Adam will be on this week. He's going to call into the show next week just
Where?
to say hello. And
Oh, that Adam.
What?
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm not
Adam
doing it.
Weiss.
What are you-
I'm here.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm calling in. Of course I'm
the CEO and founder of Numbnuts. We appreciate your support.
Oh.
And listen, another Colorado original. If you're here in Colorado
Boom.
and you want to smoke amazing cannabis,
Out of
you
a
got to head
popcorn
over to
machine.
14er Holistics. Okay? You go to 14erboulder.com, place your pre-order.
I like the
They're going to
video.
send you a
Video's
text. Pick it up.
Tight video, man. Except for that.
I'm hearing
Throwing
really
around-
good things
the
about
throwing
some of the
around
new
the-
strains coming
I don't
out.
know about the throwing around the weed part. I'm a little bit like kind of not down with that part. Like that gets me a little bit squidgy. Like that part's cool.
Little anxiety.
Yeah, I like the cutting and the little bit and that. Yeah, okay. Joints and reality. That's cool. I like the little overhead. Like that. That's like you're going through. That's like the
Soldiers of swords.
nope.
Man.
It's a takeoff on like the popcorn popper from watching a movie. So they want you to know that weed goes great with movies
I get it.
and popcorn.
I get it.
Their rosin is something special.
Big Lebowski.
I mean, something
was thinking-
special.
I was thinking Big Lebowski on that shot when they're cruising through the plane. I was like, that's kind of like the Big Lebowski.
That was a great shot.
you know, when he's
when he
flying-
spins
he's got-
around.
and he's got
Yep.
the falling ball. Yeah, that was a shot I was seeing there. Anyway, 14ers. Let's say we're down there. Let's go. Move.
That
move,
was
move,
Jackie
move.
Treehorn.
Oh,
Drugged him.
drugged him. It's nice looking.
Well, if you were doing a Big Lebowski, that's Jackie Treehorn just drugged him in that scene there.
Right, next-
But
next-
anyway,
next-
14erboulder.com.
boom.
Please do tell them we sent you.
And here we are.
So mention the done
big
deal.
daddy, the big daddies.
Oh, yeah. There's no bigger done deal out there.
There's no
not-
bigger done deal.
No bigger done deal.
Fishheadfarms.com.
No bigger done deal. No
No
bigger
bigger
done
done
deal.
deal.
No bigger done deal.
25% off.
No bigger done deal. No bigger done deal. Fish shit.
Yeah.
No bigger done deal. You got to say it real fast. Fast. It's easy. All right.
Ba-dum-bum.
Anyway.
Enter done deal at checkout or tell them when you call them on there on up and place your order and mention the done deal. You're going to get 25% off your order. I mean, that's our best done deal. It is a great product. Every single person that has written to me that has used it has had something positive to say about it. So that's incredible testimonials. And these are serious breeders out there. So you got to go to fishheadfarms.com or fish it on Instagram. And you use that product, so you should tell them something about it other than me just reading off the card.
Yeah.
No, huh?
Nah. All I know is I'm looking at your picture, thinking how awesome it is that one $500 worth of fish. shit.
Right.
A great picture.
And bagels. I sent him some bagels, too.
What you got? You've been working on one? You've been working over there? You trying to get free shit over on the other side of the room? That does not work out.
I don't think that works.
No, you're like the guy who's not allowed to win the prize because you work at the spot. You know that.
But
deal?
seriously, we haven't given away fish shit in a while, and we'd love to. So you got to send in your new
I'm surprised.
picture.
I thought we had like a pretty specific project going on for a few people out there. I was like, oh, that's happening. So anyway, that's how easy it is. See that picture there?
Yeah.
Do that or better. Worse would be, I don't know. We may say that you got to work a little harder, but definitely doable. And I think Mark,
Definitely
we
doable.
have not got one of Mark yet.
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah, so-
we called for it last year. The last show.
year?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Man.
Whoa, dude.
Terp wipes, baby.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
Oh
man.
shit! You might need a terp wipe to
Yeah,
clean off your
I need a terp
brain.
wipe. No,
Your brain is all shriveled, schniggle, snarl, chazzed up. You got
These
Chaz brain?
are
Your
the
brain
best
chazzed?
alcohol pads.
Your brain is chazzed.
And especially if you get an injection, you can use a terp wipe to clean. If you buy, I saw there was some vaccine for sale in the chat gang. So
You
if you're
brought your
buying
own
some
terp
vaccine,
wipe for it.
you need a
Brought
terp
it-
wipe
Did you
so
tell
that
him?
you can.
Did you do the terp wipe as you did? For
Yeah, you're like, no, I got this, bro. We're cool. Just
I'm telling you, I got the best. I didn't
You
feel
should
a
have.
thing.
You should have pulled it out and said, "Fuck your bullshit." I'm terp wiping this, and then you'd be like all infected, and later you'd be like,
No.
"And I used the terp wipe," and it says, "Never use it for injections." Right on the back. Didn't you see it?
Yeah, dude.
So remember, with terp wipes, you have to go to www.terpwipes.com/donedeal.
Yes, sir.
There's no promo code.
Cleans
You just
everything.
have to go. You have to put the slash at the end, and then it pre-populates. Everything on the site has the discount. They have a subscription. You know, people who smoke regularly, which, come on now, you're going to want a subscription. You know how many you're going to go through. Just get on their list. Rosin Dogs loves the product, right? Rosin Dogs, I'm giving you an opportunity to get some more chats in here and talk about how much you love terp wipes.
Oh, he loves it.
He
Oh, yeah,
just wants
taint
you
wipes.
to
He uses the
stop
first
this.
taint though. So he goes-
That's
he
right.
goes
Don't
through-
call them taint wipes.
He goes through a
that
lot
doesn't
more.
count.
He goes through a lot more than your average person. So
You can even get a subscription. You know.
Yes.
And
You
that's a
could.
good thing to do.
if you had every day,
And listen,
if you had every day, like, well, not every day, but you had every week coming in a box of terp wipes
Yeah.
and a bunch of coffee,
Yeah.
then you and Rosin Dogs have got a lot in common.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
it. You guys are-
Terpwipes.com/done deal.
Yeah.
that's it. And
Exactly.
you're gonna
No, they're
grow
not the same. No,
cannabis?
they're definitely not the same as the ones at Walmart because they're not.
No.
They smell different. Especially,
Yeah.
yeah. No, they're
They
different.
got that
weird funk.
Yeah.
They dry out real quick too, and a real
Yeah, they do.
like so fast.
Yep.
But they're not alcohol-y at all.
Yeah.
Just not alcohol. So that's
Nope.
that. How's that? Anyway,
You know you need lighting, and
Oh,
that
shit.
lighting should come from Illuminar.
should
All right.
Professional indoor lighting
does.
solutions for greenhouse, grow room, and vertical growing.
everything you need, every combination.
Everything you need.
Look at you reading off of cue cards. And
Yeah,
shit.
man,
You're
you
the
like
man.
that?
You're the
Oh, go, Mark.
Go, Mark,
You're
go.
you're
You can
real
also-
Jamie now, not shitty Jamie. Read off that card.
You can actually use them to clean off your phones too, which is cool. I like that.
Oh yeah.
I do that with sometimes when I have like a non-resident.
If you want to take that layer of stuff on that they put on there to protect it from the oil of your skin.
Oh,
you know?
shut up.
I'm just saying.
There's no
you know,
protection of no nothing.
That's what
on
they
you.
say.
What?
I'm just saying.
You're not allowed to clean your screen with alcohol or anything?
They say you're not supposed to.
This
because
well, this
there's,
doesn't
like-
have alcohol, so how's that for an answer?
It's okay, cool,
It's
man.
got some other shit.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
man.
good.
It's,
all
It's
natural.
ethyl
Just wipe
alcohol.
your
oh,
team
no,
with
it's
it.
all foggy and burned up, and now it's all
It's
melted.
ethyl
Why is my
alcohol.
screen all melty?
Still has the word alcohol after it.
I know, it's ethyl. It is, but it's a different kind. It's a different kind, man.
Wait, you don't have a screen protector on your phone?
Of course I have a screen protector on my phone.
Yeah, so put it on your. Who cares? You just.
It just
I
melted
never
it.
did
It just
until
melted
later
it. It just melted it, though, man.
Anyways. Professional.
So we
indoor
give away
lighting
an
solutions.
Illuminar lamp every month, and all you have to do is know the word of the month, and which is you're going to find on Instagram. It is going to be a post that the Adam Dunn Show, myself, and Face of Base are tagged in. So you got to know the word of the month, and you got to send us an email with your phone number. If you don't have your phone number, Mark can't call you, and you can't win.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the meantime, if you do have any kind of questions of spaces that you may be thinking about putting some lights into, you can contact them direct, give them your dimensions, and they'll get back to you real quick with a sort of layout for you, make it all pro, tell you what you need. Sometimes you go in there thinking you need this, you come out with get that. There's a lot of options out there these days, everything from LEDs to HIDs and CMHs and everything in between, which is, not much, but there's a few little knick-knack paddywhacks in there somewhere. But they also have their hash controller, which is on the screen right now, and that is able to do all sorts of professional layouts. We've even got our own feature coming on the line with those for
Nice.
a sunrise, sunset, and adjustability where you can kind of make it all fade in and fade out.
Fade in, fade out.
Yeah, exactly. So you check them out, And of course, done deal every time you contact.
Every time.
Just go done deal, done deal, done deal.
I'll just say it over and over again.
Say over and over again until you forget what you actually contacted them for in the first place. Be like, I forgot. Bro.
And thank you, James Bean, for bringing on Resin tonight. He was fantastic. I was mesmerized. Incredibly knowledgeable. Irrazin. I'm looking forward to the collab because I'm whatever hash those two produce.
I like how I went into my whole big long thing and it wasn't even on there. I was like, what?
He's listening to the replay right now. He's going to catch up.
It's cool. It's cool.
He listens all.
So you go to seedsherenow.com, enter done deal at checkout. You're going to get 10% off your order.
Yes, sir. And I'm sure you're going to go to seedsherenow.com and you're also going to check out, obviously, Irrazin's Indian Landrace part of the thing, and you're gonna check out also all the other cool breeders and fucking top breeders.
The
best.
Top people. Top.
The best. Yes, the best.
The best people.
The best of the best with the most and the best and the best of the best.
Pretty much. How you doing, Yar?
That's just my Dutch. It could be Aryan, it could be Yair, it could be any Dutch guy that's out there. Pretty much, that's how they all sound to me. But yes, and it's the best and the most and the best. That was pretty much how they said about everything. I'd be like, that is not really the best advertising. Even though I said the word best, in you, that's all they really all they can say. They have like 4 words to describe everything.
More chances for them to check. You know, every time you say Yair, all I remember.
Dopey is the other one. That Dopey. Dopey, bestie, mosty, dopey, super bestie, top.
Wow, we got lots of people writing in for lights now. Man.
All right, you better pull the plug and let's do the chat winner.
All right.
Oh no, we got Seeds Here Now. Oh wait, we already did that.
No,
we just did Seeds Here Now.
Yeah, well, we did. And James, being man on the scene, and just have to listen, watch him.
Love you, buddy.
Watch him at the beginning of the show, anytime. He is the man on the scene, and they got the best crew, best fucking deals, best service. See what I said? Best, mosty, and that is it. And then, what else do we have?
What's this? Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to put my music.
Bandcamp. What the hell is this crap?
No.
You're trying to
what? Hey, free shout out.
I didn't mean to put.
Holy shit! All right, who's the chatter?
That's my bad.
Let's get this chatter.
Look at Rosin Dogs. He's like, quick.
Get one in, Rosin Dogs.
Quick, Rosin Dogs, go.
Yeah,
go,
I'm about to refresh.
Go, Rosin Dogs, go.
Hit refresh.
Jamie's here.
Shitty Jamie, he's pissed off as hell. His face is all overexposed.
Whatever, dude.
What? Wow, look at the aggression.
Oh, damn.
We're 8:50.
You pissed Mark off. Look what you did to Mark.
We went a half, 45 minutes over
You
time.
broke him.
I'm refreshing. This is the last. You can get your chats in. It's refreshing.
45
We are
minutes
refreshing.
overtime.
I'm about to pull up my little drum roll button. It's refreshing. All right. Oh, man.
All right, I am going to tell you my arm does hurt, man. All right, I'm just saying.
Your arm?
Oh, the one I got the shot in.
He's done for.
Oh, he does. Look at him. He's going down. It's all starting
going down.
Starting to stiffen up on the air. He's stiffening up.
Stiffen it up, man.
Stiffening up.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
All right.
All right, what do we got?
With 166
in third place,
chats.
Rosin Dogs.
Oh. With 166 chats in third place. Enzo Nascarella.
Enzo!
All right.
Enzo, ciao.
Hey.
Chendane.
At number 2 with 222 chats. Look at that.
Well, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dank Aaron.
Oh, no. Don't tell me he's going to win.
Uh-oh, did he win? No!
With 536 chats.
No, stop.
Oh, jeez.
Rosin Dogs is the winner for this week.
500. We don't even know what to do. Is he insane? Is he insane? 532?
Dude.
Wow.
He went overtime during sponsor.
Wow, I didn't even notice.
This is great.
Actually, you win a free month
500.
subscription
That's
to
the most ever.
Yeah,
Bandcamp.
536 is definitely
he
the
wins
most
one of your
epic.
records, right? Or something?
Yeah, I'll send him.
$1.40, what was it?
I'll
$1.47 or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah,
He wins one of
I'll
those.
send him
Hey.
a promo copy. I got that. I got that all day long.
All right, so I don't know. Does he win that? Does he
Rosin
win?
dogs, you just
No,
proved.
he gets on the wheel. Or do we
Does he-
no longer have a wheel?
I don't know. We have a wheel, but I think we might have to
why
put
don't
him
we
into
do that once a
therapy or
month,
something.
right?
We might have to put him. I don't know if he gets allowed to go on. Yeah, I think he goes into therapy.
Yeah, what does it
automatically.
say about him
And
here?
we have
Rosin dogs. It's Friday night.
We
You're
have
married.
an intervention. We have an intervention,
Yeah.
and then we tell him he's not even allowed. He's been banned from the show.
Chat Gang's like half and half on this.
He's
Because
banned. Yeah, he's over there. Once you hit over 500, you've like that's it. You've voided yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Is that like a void?
Yeah.
Didn't he already win one?
It's like a kill pot. You can't play
All right,
next
maybe
week.
we'll see. We're gonna see. He wins bagels or something, but that's like long term. We can't. That's expensive.
It was legit until like that last hour.
Then he
Everyone
went
kind of went
stupid.
crazy.
He went nuts.
Well, everyone did.
Well, you know that's how it always goes. It always there was always a guy like Rosin Dogs who just takes it over the edge. He can't control himself. He has to do it. He has to push this out. He has to make it bad for everybody. Now, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Send him his own.
How do we
seeds.
End it.
do we spank him? Yeah, send him back his own seeds. Oh yeah, that'll be great.
He won a pack of his own seeds.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Were the stickers?
He want his own seeds back. There you go. That's and a sticker. I don't want stickers.
Oh, that'd be funny.
And he gets a free
Just
sticker.
send them
And he gets a
back
free
forth
sticker.
between each other.
Perfect.
Oh, that's funny.
That would be great. There you go. And yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Well, Rosin Dogs, once again, you just killed it as
Alright.
usual.
Yeah, before the explosion, he was ahead. He had 450 before.
How do you
yeah,
have
like,
450?
dude,
Oh.
Well, it's because he's just he's jibber
Yeah.
jabbering. He's more like he's just doing. The
He's
right-
genius.
Vinny was. I thought Vinny was going to win. That was the problem. I thought we had like some inside because I saw a lot of Vinny action.
Yeah,
going
there
on.
was a lot of video action today.
You guys. Well, anyway, he keeps it rolling.
All right.
Keeps it rolling. Thanks for
Keeps it
checking
rolling.
in. Okay, so next, I guess I should just announce it now because I know.
Oh, we're announcing things?
Well, yeah, because I actually got 1 week where I figured it
fancy.
out. I figured it out, man.
Hey, let's put the card out tomorrow.
Fucking wait a minute. News.
What? No.
Well, unless anything changes at this point in time,
Yeah.
we have Cornbread Mafia. I believe his name was Jim, but I'll double check. I'm not going to say.
I know. It's
I would. That would be too much work to look up his name.
Right.
But definitely, no, it's okay. It's just a very, very, very soft announcement, only for people who have managed to stay this long, which is not many. How many people are on there right now?
105 people are watching.
105.
Oh shit! We're not supposed to say anything. No, it was. It's that's good. That's 100 people out there to tell us. No, I already said it. Cornbread Mafia will be on here, not Cornbread Ricky. Don't get confused. I know that's going to already happen. They're going to see the word cornbread and they're going to run. Cornbread's on there. Cornbread. No, Cornbread Mafia. They contacted us, so it should be
They
interesting.
contacted us. Wow.
I know. Look at that.
All right.
And I followed through,
Wow.
so I think so. I think we have them lined up.
We
And-
fancy.
Yeah, and I've even got the new week after that lined up. So things are just starting to happen, man.
Whoa.
People, they want to be on the show. I don't know why. I don't know why.
We're going to have to start being on time now.
Sweet.
Soon we're gonna have to be on
Because
time.
of Shitty Jamie.
It's all because of Shitty Jamie. Shitty Jamie saves the day as usual. Shout out
We
to
are on time.
shout out to everybody who hung in there and checked this whole thing out. Shout out to Todd, of course.
Thank you, Mark.
Todd for. It was almost like we were on that show where he just banged everything, but he just didn't bang anything. He just got mad at Dave.
We'll get him on again.
It's all right. I'm
It's
stoked.
all right.
He didn't like your joke about the numbers.
I guess so. I guess my numbers.
I
joke
think it was the
didn't go.
Broncos jersey.
Well, he was already pissed off about the Broncos jersey.
Yeah.
He had to play that.
Well,
he had to play that.
they
angle.
outnumbered us.
I thought he was playing. I thought he was playing the angle, the joke. Once he said, "I have my family," because if you shake a kid at me during a deal, then I know you're just like trying to get out of it, right? Like you're like, I got a kid to feed. You're like, all right, I'm out of here, because that's just like the old. Like when I didn't have a kid, I never did that, and then when I had a kid, I still never did that because I was like, that's always a shitty thing to do. It's like when you shake the kid or you say, "Oh, my family," and you blame it on the family. It's always like, forget. We don't.
Come on, we'll have him on again. He's a good guy, very smart.
At that point,
knows his shit.
At that point, he said, "Dave, as long as he blames you, that's all I care about." That's it.
Of course he does.
Good.
Yeah.
You weren't clear. You said.
Oh, he already
7:30.
sent me a note. He blames me.
Good. Good.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
Then he knows exactly what's up. So we definitely need to get him on the show because he knows what's up.
Hey, quick shout out, Reconscious Medical. Okay, I know Mark wanted to call in tonight, but it didn't work out. But you got to go to Reconscious Medical. You're going to get 10% off your MMJ evaluation.
Oh.
Okay.
Mark outro.
What?
Did we do it? Mark
What's an outro?
You got to
but-
do a Mark outro. Well, you're not allowed.
Oh, play your music.
No.
shitty.
The video and
no video.
No video.
You have a video to show?
No. Your video, like the outro.
Oh, and I'm saying music-wise. Can't you turn the music up? That doesn't change the picture.
If I wear a green shirt, you guys will have way too much fun with
Can
me.
you mix it live? Can we do a live mix?
I have to figure this out.
Come on, live mix. That sounds perfect. Because your shit will mix with anything.
Yeah.
It's not like
Boom,
it's
boom, dum, dum, dum.
and then it's gonna be like boom, and like fucking chaos, and then you're
Dude,
out.
okay.
All right, let's do it.
What are we doing?
But I want to just,
just play
shout out
this on the way out.
to
I'm just
Big
turned on now,
Sisu,
though.
who is cooking up a storm and shopping live here at the house. Look at this. See, yeah, this is like we're on the John Doe radio show.
Oh yeah.
John Doe radio show. Yeah, we're gonna be here live. with
WCCC
John
coming right at
Doe.
ya.
Coming at you live.
Mark Perez on bass,
Yes,
everybody.
We're doing it here.
Adam Dunn on the microphone. And I'm Dave working the background.
Hey, working it. you can catch
Just
us
wanted to
live
say, everybody out there in cannabis land,
every Friday.
have
I
a
gotta say,
great night.
Get deep for them now. Get deep.
Thank you for tuning in every
times. There
Friday
you go.
from 4:30 to 7:10.
Don't say 4:30.
Mountain
fuck.
time.
You know it's
4:20 to
4:20.
7:10.
Never say
Mountain
4:30. You fucking
Dave's
guy.
just too fucking honest and doesn't know how to take a cue.
We're gonna say 4:20, but we're really gonna come on at 4:30, guys. How's that?
4:20
That's how we.
7:10.
Anyway, shout out everybody. Let's do one last dab together before we go.
One
and,
last
and
tab together.
then we will call it a night. Only an hour over, as usual.
Thank you,
We're just-
everybody in the chat gang. You
It's
guys
one-
are awesome. You make it very entertaining. I know, you're very entertaining. Appreciate all you love.
I like it when people can't they're like they're out, and I'm like, wow, what happened? I saw some friction going on here and there, but
Dirty Dave here on the microphone, coming at ya.
Yeah. I like this.
Dirty Dave.
WCCC, Hartford, Connecticut. Next stop, New York City. Morning drive, everybody.
Whoa.
Bye for now. Make your cartas quack, everybody.
Mine don't quack.
Yours don't quack, mine quacks.
Ooh, you said quack. Dude, you don't even know the tear in the time and space continuum you just created by saying the word quack more than 3 times.
There's a rift in the time-space continuum, 1972, coming at ya.
Peace out, everybody. See you next week.
Peace.